At the beginning of the movie, Jia and her family are sitting around waiting for the math Olympiad results, but watching the MC spin the lottery wheel. The name picked in the end, ISNT hers. While she's feeling down, suddenly the doorbell rings, and it's a courier dropping off an admission notice. Jia nervously opens it to check, and surprisingly, she got into a top high school. She immediately runs to share the good news with her crush, but it turns out everyone already knows. It turns out her mom, Mrs. Qian, has already spread the news everywhere and even generously wants to throw a party for the neighbors. Later, Jia goes to see her childhood best friend, Wan Qing. Wan Qing also got into the top school, but her parents don't show any emotion, thinking it's obvious because studying is only for her own good. That makes Wan Qing very sad. That night, Xiao Han and Mao Tu come to Jia Yu's house for dinner. Mao Tu's parents are both away on business, so he has to live alone right now, and Jia Yu's family has taken him in like a godson. Not long after, Jia Yu's dad also comes home. Hearing that his daughter got into her first choice makes him extremely happy. At the dinner table, Jia Yu reminds her mom to keep her promise of buying a computer and also hopes she stops reading her diary. Mrs. Qian feels a bit embarrassed that this kid gives her no face at all, so she hurriedly changes the subject. After the meal, Jia Yu's parents discuss buying a computer for their daughter. Buying a computer would cost 3 months of household expenses, and since their current finances are quite tight, they can't agree on it yet. The next morning, Jia Yu is taken out by her mom. She thinks her mom is going to buy her a computer, but it turns out they're going to buy clothes at the mall. On top of that, at the stall, her mom bargains, making Jia Yu feel super awkward. She thought her mom would keep her promise next, but she ends up just hearing sweet talk. Finances are tough right now, so the computer thing might have to wait until college. Grandma notices Jia Yu looks thoughtful, so she takes her, Mao Tu, and Xiao Han to the amusement park. On the other hand, Xiao Han's mom, Mrs. Ping, has to work multiple jobs at once to make money after her husband passed away. When she sees Xiao Han's shoes are falling apart, she feels very conflicted inside. Just then, the shop owner comes to pay her salary and also hands over a pair of shoes that Jia Yu's mom bought for Xiao Han. Knowing this, Xiao Han is very touched, so to return the favor, he gives Jia Yu a fountain pen. Jia Yu stares at Xiao Han, and memories from childhood come flooding back. Every time that happened, Xiao Han would give her careful advice. Thinking of this, Jia Yu can't hold back anymore and asks Xiao Han directly if he knows why she tried so hard to get into the top school. It turns out Xiao Han is very good at studying, and Jia Yu tried that hard just to go to the same school as him. Unexpectedly, Xiao Han misunderstands and thinks Jia Yu wants to compete with him. Right at that moment, Mao Tu suddenly appears, saying he has a gift for Jia Yu. She excitedly opens it to look, but inside is a dung beetle, which scares her to death. The next morning, Jia Yu tells Wan Qing about her failed confession. When the two of them pass by a souvenir stall, Wan Qing comes up with a plan. So Jia Yu personally folds paper stars, and on each paper strip is a hidden secret. Jia Yu spends the whole night and finally finishes them. In the middle of it, Mao Tu and Xiao Han knock on the door. Not wanting to interrupt the plan, Wan Qing hurriedly drags Mao Tu away. As for Jia Yu, because she is shy, she tells Xiao Han to check the drawer before she leaves. Very quickly, the celebration party organized by Mrs. Qian takes place. A lot of neighbors come to congratulate them. Even Mao Tu's dad, who is usually stingy, also comes. Jia Yu is seated next to Xiao Han. She shyly probes him, but his attitude is still very strange. Jia Yu quickly pulls Wan Qing aside to whisper. If Xiao Han read those words, why is he still so indifferent? When the two return to the dining table, unexpectedly Mrs. Qian, who is praising her daughter to the skies, is holding a piece of paper and reading it aloud. Jia Yu realizes it is the paper strip from the star and is shocked. On top of that, Mao Tu is holding the star jar, but it is completely empty inside. It turns out Mao Tu went back at that time to look for his dung beetle. Seeing the star jar, he thought it was for him, so he poured all the stars out and used the jar as a home for the dung beetle. At this point, Jia Yu is completely humiliated. She blames her mom for always reading her diary secretly and then runs away. Xiao Han hurriedly chases after her. Only he knows the places Jia Yu goes when she is sad. Seeing she is still angry, Xiao Han tells her about the times Mrs. Qian helped him. The reason Jia Yu holds such a grudge is that her mom once left her to go to the city to make money years ago. When listening to Xiao Han explain, she feels she might have overreacted this time. Afterward, Xiao Han goes to Mao Tu's house to talk. He wonders why Jia Yu acted so intensely. And just then, he sees the stars in the basket, among which is one with a special color. Xiao Han starts thinking, connecting everything that happened today, and opens that star. The words appear, filled with Jia Yu's feelings, making Xiao Han feel very conflicted. To comfort Jia Yu, Mrs. Qian has to borrow money from her mother to buy the computer for her. This makes Jia Yu feel even more guilty. She quickly apologizes, and a mother and daughter make up. Not long after, the computer arrives. Mao Tu is there to install computer programs for her. Xiaohan also thinks a lot about Jiayu's feelings. He actually always saw Jiayu as a little sister, but not wanting to hurt her feelings, he cleverly advised her to focus on studying. Surprisingly, when that reached Jiayu's ears, it sounded like he would be with her openly after graduation. Early in the morning, while Jiayu is still fast asleep, Grandma gently comes in to wake her up. Today is the placement test day at the new school. To give her granddaughter some extra luck, Grandma prepared a special breakfast. In this exam, there's only one top class for the whole grade. With the determination to study with Xiaohan, Jiayu tries to eat all the big breakfast her grandma made. On the way to school, she bumps into Xiaohan riding his bike. That image makes Jiayu secretly determined to learn how to ride a bike no matter what, and her friend Wanqing enthusiastically promises to teach her. However, an incident happens right before the exam. Because she ate too much, Jiayu has to rush to the restroom. Just then, a girl-esque voice from the next stall calls out, begging her to go buy a sanitary pad. Without hesitating, Jiayu takes the money and runs straight to the store, but in her rush, she accidentally leaves the fountain pen Xiaohan gave her on the sink. When everything is done, Jiayu returns to the exam room and is stunned to realize she lost the precious gift. With her mind in a mess, she doesn't do well on the first English test at all, especially the listening part. Jiayu regrets losing Xiaohan's keepsake so much and worries even more that with her ability, the chance to be in the same class as him is probably gone. After school, while Jiayu is sadly confiding in Wanqing, they run into the girl she helped that morning. It turns out that girl's name is Chun Mo, and she used to go to the same school as Wanqing. The unexpected reunion makes both of them very happy, and they quickly chat excitedly. Witnessing that scene, Jiayu can't help but feel left out. Wanqing is her best friend, but now it seems like there is someone else coming between them. The promise to teach Jiayu how to ride a bike is quickly forgotten. Because Chun Mo keeps insisting on going shopping, Wanqing happily agrees. Jiayu waits at home in vain. Not until late afternoon. When she just wakes up, does Wanqing call to say that because she was busy shopping for too long, she has to take a rain check. In the days that follow, Wanqing and Chun Mo become even closer, like two peas in a pod. Wanqing even told Chun Mo about the secret base she shared with Jiayu. Having private secrets revealed so easily made Jiayu extremely disappointed about Chun Mo's presence. Even if she had the chance, Jiayu didn't want Wanqing to teach her how to ride a bike anymore. Wanqing and Chun Mo also shared the same idol, a famous singer, so their conversations always revolved around this topic, making Jiayu feel like a total third wheel. In an effort to save the friendship, Jiayu remembered that Wanqing was crazy about the Japanese manga character Rukawa Kid. She went out of her way to buy a card and excitedly brought it to give to her friend. Wanqing looked very happy to see Jiayu and hurriedly pulled her into the room to show off a large poster of the singer Exine Zhe that Chun Mo had just given her. Hearing Wanqing praise Chun Mo nonstop, the sadness in Jiayu welled up again. She quietly put the Rukawa Kid card back into her pocket. The gift lost its meaning before she could even give it. At the same time, her friend Mao too decided to run away from home because of his dad, Mr. Zhang. He moved back to the old apartment complex by himself, since he considered Jiayu's parents as his adoptive parents. Mao too went to her house to eat to solve his meal problem. Hearing that there was a new transfer student at school and seeing Jiayu, Wanqing, and that stranger always together, Mao too thought that Jiayu and Chun Mo had become close. He went to find her to ask about the new girl, and even Mao too praised Chun Mo for being beautiful. The sadness in Jiayu's heart grew even heavier. The class placement results were announced, and ironically, even though she didn't get into the top class, Jiayu was placed in the same class as both Wanqing and Chun Mo. Meanwhile, Xiaohan maintained his status as the top student in the whole school. Seeing her friend sad, Wanqing could only comfort her by saying that 3 years of high school is a long time, and there are still opportunities ahead. Realizing that Jiayu was still sad about losing the pin Xiaohan gave her, Mao too was determined to earn money to buy her an identical one as a replacement. He came up with the idea of playing video games for others to make money. But unfortunately, he was scammed by a group of thugs and was even taken to the police station. In the end, the police had to contact Grandma and Xiaohan's mom to bail him out. When the three of them took Mao Tu home, they happened to run into a drunk Mr. Zhang and had to stay to help him take care of his father. The first day of school was approaching, and Jiayu went to school to pick up her military training uniform. She just met Wanqing, who was excitedly showing off her new uniform when Chun Mo appeared. With her outstanding looks, Chun Mo immediately became the center of attention. Jiayu's new desk mate saw her and Chun Mo greeting each other and whispered, asking her to play matchmaker. This request was like a bucket of cold water thrown on Jiayu's self-esteem, making her bitterly realize that she seemed to be just a faded supporting character. At the freshman welcome party, Chun Mo quickly got bored and urged Wanqing and Jiayu to sneak out. The plan was laid out. Chun Mo would pretend to have a stomachache, and Jia Yu and Wan Qing would help her to the infirmary. Wan Qing enthusiastically agreed to this seemingly perfect plan. However, Jia Yu refused, because Xiao Han was giving a speech that night, and she wouldn't miss it for the world. Sitting below the stage, she quietly watched his confident demeanor. Jia Yu's eyes were filled with admiration. The next morning, tragedy struck. As soon as she left the house, Jia Yu was blocked by Wan Qing and Chen Mo. Chen Mo didn't hold back at all and bluntly asked if she had snitched on them last night. Jia Yu was bewildered and didn't understand what was going on. It turned out their plan to sneak out to the supermarket had been discovered by the teacher. Both of them were scolded harshly by their parents, since only the three of them knew the secret. And Jia Yu was the only one who didn't go. She naturally became the snitch in the eyes of her two best friends. Jia Yu's eyes were fixed on Wan Qing. She earnestly insisted on her innocence, but she received only cold suspicion in return. Her heart felt like it was breaking. Wan Qing, the best friend who used to have no secrets from her, was now not only distancing herself, but also didn't trust her at all because of Chen Mo's appearance. The friendship she thought was the most solid had now cracked painfully. While her friendship was on the brink of collapse, another incident happened to Jia Yu. That night, there was a frantic knocking on the door. It was Mao Tu, carrying a bulging school bag on his shoulder with a gloomy look on his face. He cried and said his dad decided to sell him to Shandong. This would probably be the last time they saw each other. After saying that, he solemnly handed over his fortune to Jia Yu and asked her to pass on a few items to Xiao Han. Seeing Mao Tu's determination, Jia Yu realized that this time he was completely serious. She hurriedly held her friend back while Grandma rushed to contact Mr. Zhang. Not long after, Mao Tu's dad arrived, but the conversation quickly turned into a fierce argument that was unbearable. Mao Tu ran out, and Jia Yu didn't hesitate for a second before chasing after him. She found Mao Tu immersed in a noisy arcade, but when she tried to drag him home, they were blocked by the thugs who came for revenge. Facing the weirdly dyed hair and arrogant looks, Jia Yu wasn't afraid at all. On the contrary, an unexpected courage rose up within her. She snatched a soda bottle from one guy's hand and smashed it hard on the ground, creating an ear-piercing, shattering sound. Jia Yu's fierce attitude made the thugs step back in surprise, and not wanting to cause more trouble, Mao Tu obediently followed her out of the arcade. On the way back, he confessed that since school started, Jia Yu and Xiao Han had both been busy studying. His dad was busy with business, and no one paid attention to him anymore. Feeling lost and not doing well in school, he turned to video games to feel a sense of success. But today, witnessing Jia Yu's courage for his sake, he was truly touched. When Mao Tu got home, Mr. Zhang had also cooled down and realized he had gone too far. The father and son finally made up. One afternoon, it suddenly started raining, and Mrs. Qian rushed into Wan Qing's mother's dumpling shop to take shelter. Seeing Chen Mo's mother there too, Mrs. Qian, who always felt a bit inferior compared to the woman who worked at the hospital, wanted to show off a little. She intentionally called her husband to pick her up, but after 7 or 8 calls, he was still nowhere to be seen. On the other hand, Xiao Han appeared just in time to give an umbrella to his mother. In contrast to Mrs. Qian's silent rivalry, Chen Mo's mother appeared to be very pleasant. Through everyday stories, the wall between them gradually vanished, and the mothers quickly found common ground. The next morning, Jia Yu happily rode her bike to school with her two best friends. She even intentionally slowed down to wait for Xiao Han. However, as soon as he arrived, Xiao Han coldly said he had to go ahead to prepare for the flag-raising ceremony. His attitude made Chen Mo visibly annoyed. Xiao Han also noticed this new face and suddenly remembered that she was the girl who schemed to drag Wan Qing away from the party. Before riding away, he didn't forget to turn back and warn Jia Yu that you become like the people you hang out with. Xiao Han's warning made Chen Mo hold a grudge against him even more. During the break, she couldn't stop complaining to Wan Qing about Xiao Han's cold attitude. To protect her friend, Wan Qing had to whisper to Chen Mo about his background. Xiao Han's father passed away when he was very young while trying to save a drowning person. Since then, the mother and son relied on each other to get by. After losing her job, his mom had to work 2 jobs at once to put him through school. Even though life was hard, Xiao Han was always a really good guy. He was just book smart, but was always ready to help others. His cold look was just a shell for a deep and sensible soul. Unlike those who grew up with a silver spoon and never knew what suffering was. Chen Mo was stunned when she heard the story. For the first time, she fell silent at the situation of someone she used to hate. Xiao Han's life was a series of days of nonstop effort, especially with the all-important senior year ahead. A friend quietly introduced him to a precious reference book, a collection of real exam questions from previous years. Everyone said that if you finished this book, you were practically guaranteed a spot in college. Xiao Han was dying to have it, but the price of 180 yuan was no small amount. That night, looking at his mom's back as she rushed to do laundry right after getting home from work without a break, his heart felt heavy. When his mom gave him 200 yuan to buy the book, Xiaohan couldn't bring himself to take it. He quietly stuffed the money back into his mom's pocket. Meanwhile, Jia Yu's class was preparing for the class monitor election, and she had high hopes. She poured her heart into her campaign speech and showed it to Xiaohan first. But Xiaohan was too busy. He just skimmed through it, gave a few compliments, and encouraged her to be confident. That indifference made Jia Yu feel a bit let down. That night at home, while she was searching for materials online, she suddenly received a lot of useful reference files from a stranger. Jia Yu was extremely grateful for this help, even though she didn't know who that person was. At the same time, Chen Mo was facing another crisis. Her politics test score was a measly 40 points, and the teacher required a parent's signature. Knowing for sure she would get chewed out by her strict dad, Chen Mo recklessly forged his signature. Election day finally arrived, but the result was like a bucket of cold water thrown on Jia Yu. The winner wasn't her, but Wan Qing. Disappointment washed over her, making Jia Yu mope around alone all that day. As for Xiaohan, he agreed to help his mom tutor the landlady's son. However, the rude and bossy attitude of this spoiled brat toward his own mother made Xiaohan feel incredibly uncomfortable. Right at this time, an event was taking place in the neighborhood, a 5 good family competition with the grand prize being a trip to Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. Jia Yu's mom was immediately interested, dreaming of a long trip for the whole family. Seeing that, Mr. Zhang advised Xiaohan's mom to participate, and he even personally went to the landlady's house to put in a good word, making her workload a bit lighter. Seeing that his mom had a chance to relax, Xiaohan also wholeheartedly supported her joining the competition. Just as predicted, Chen Mo forging the signature was discovered by her dad. After a terrible scolding, Chen Mo ran out of the house in a fit of anger, and as fate would have it, Xiaohan was riding his bike home right at that moment. Seeing Chen Mo running toward him with tears in her eyes, and hearing her dad calling out from behind, he didn't even have time to react before Chen Mo jumped onto the backseat, as quick as a flash. Although he still had a bad impression of Chen Mo's pranks. Faced with this situation, Xiaohan didn't hesitate to pedal really fast, getting her out of that awkward spot. They stopped at a quiet place. In the conversation that followed, when Chen Mo found out Xiaohan grew up with only his mother, she felt a surge of jealousy. To her, having a strict father who always criticized her for not being smart enough was worse than having no father at all. Hearing that, Xiaohan just quietly replied that he was actually jealous of her. He would rather have a strict father to remind him whenever he was being reckless, and to have a shoulder to lean on when he was sad, than to have no one at all. That unexpected conversation pulled them closer together. Two souls that seemed so different found empathy, and Chen Mo's mood gradually calmed down. Meanwhile, the atmosphere of preparation for the 5 Good family competition was buzzing throughout the neighborhood. Jia Yu's house was bustling with the sound of her parents singing karaoke. That evening, when everyone met up for the rehearsal, Jia Yu was hesitant at first, but as soon as she heard that Xiaohan would be there, she immediately changed into a new outfit and even secretly used some of her mom's makeup. At the rehearsal that day, all the girls were dressed up gorgeously, but when Chen Mo and her mother appeared, all eyes were fixed on them. In a light blue dress, Chen Mo's beauty looked even more pure and outstanding. Xiaohan's eyes unconsciously lingered on her figure, and a fleeting flutter passed through him, as if the door to teenage romance in his heart had just cracked open before this beautiful girl. It was also at that moment that Chen Mo realized the academic heartthrob in Jia Yu's heart that Wan Qing had mentioned was none other than Xiaohan. At school, the class monitor suddenly took leave, and the teacher appointed Jia Yu to temporarily take over. Her first task was to handle the list for the study aid fund, remembering the teacher's advice to be very tactful so as not to hurt her classmates' self-esteem. Jia Yu intentionally found Jian Feng, a student in difficult circumstances, while he was playing basketball and led him to a quiet corner. However, as soon as he saw the content of the registration form, Jian Feng's pride was hurt, and he firmly refused to help. On another evening, Mao Tu and Xiaohan were secretly watching a movie at home when they were startled by a noise outside the door. Thinking their shady business had been discovered, both of them hurriedly hid the movie disc and panic-strickenly looked for a place to hide. It turned out to be Xiaohan's mom and Mr. Zhang coming home together. Seeing no one at home, Mr. Zhang gathered all his courage to confess his feelings to Xiaohan's mom, suggesting they should be together soon. Xiaohan's mom didn't object strongly, but just gently said that both Mao Tu and Xiaohan were in a crucial study period. She couldn't let the kids get distracted, so everything should wait until they got into college. After that, Mr. Zhang happily took her shopping. Hiding in the dark, Xiaohan had heard the entire conversation, and an indescribable frustration rose up in his heart. Just when Xiaohan's mind was in a mess, Jia knocked on the door and walked in. Knowing his family's difficult situation, she sincerely handed Xiao Han the application for study aid. This action, which originally came from pure concern, accidentally fueled the fire of anger smoldering inside Xiao Han. He couldn't control himself and shouted loudly at Jiayu. Shocked by Xiao Han's reaction, Jiayu was totally confused. Not understanding what had happened, she just hurriedly turned around and ran away. When she got home, feelings of self-pity rushed back, so she reached out to her mysterious online friend to vent. As always, the guy patiently listened and gently comforted her, regretting that he had taken his anger out on Jiayu for no reason. Xiao Han went to her house to apologize. He explained that he had just dealt with something unpleasant and couldn't control his emotions. Hearing that, Jiayu's anger immediately vanished. She even proactively asked if there was anything she could do to help. Right after Xiao Han left, Jiayu hurriedly texted her online friend, happily bragging that he had apologized and she wasn't angry anymore. Not long after, Xiao Han's mom came home, accompanied by Mr. Zhang. He happily greeted Xiao Han, carrying new shoes he bought for both him and Mao Tu, and even suggested they wear them for the upcoming competition. Responding to that enthusiasm, Xiao Han coldly declared that he would not participate in that Five Good Family competition. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Sensing something was wrong, Mr. Zhang quietly went into the living room, and Mao Tu leaned into his dad's ear, whispering that Xiao Han didn't accept the idea of his mom remarrying him. Saying that, Mao Tu put on his jacket and stormed out. Mr. Zhang also hurriedly followed him, leaving some private space for the mother and son. Noticing Xiao Han was in a bad mood, Mrs. Xiao immediately asked him what was wrong. Xiao Han was silent for a long time before saying he could give her a good life. Their family didn't need help from anyone. Facing the toughness of her rebellious son, Mrs. Xiao could only smile sadly and quietly return to her room. The next morning, Mr. Zhang was already waiting downstairs when Xiao Han's mom went to work. The emotional wound from the blunt rejection last night was still there. Xiao Han's mom was also extremely awkward. She knew Mr. Zhang's heart, but Xiao Han's personality was exactly like his father's, extremely stubborn. Although Mr. Zhang was sad, he was determined not to give up. He believed that time would prove everything, and one day, Xiao Han would accept him. The day of the Five Good Family competition finally took place. Just as predicted, both Wan Qing's family and Xiao Han's mother and son didn't attend. Only Jiayu's parents participated enthusiastically. They sang a cheesy love song together and excellently won first prize. Mrs. Qian happily went to the neighborhood committee to receive the reward, but the joy quickly turned into bitter disappointment. The trip to Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand on the poster turned out to be just abbreviations for 3 locations right in Shanghai, which could all be visited in one day. Feeling scammed, Jiayu's mom started suspecting that this competition was actually just a play set up by Mr. Zhang to win over Xiao Han's mom. Wan Qing's mom didn't believe it, thinking that if there was something going on, she would have been the first to know. Not long after, Mr. Zhang had to go on a business trip to Hangzhou. Before leaving, he didn't forget to report to Xiao Han's mom. Despite facing Xiao Han's objection, he optimistically believed he would find a way to persuade him. Meanwhile, Mao Tu caused trouble at school again and was asked by the teacher to call his parents. Out of habit, he sought Jiayu for help. Jiayu reluctantly played the role of a parent to meet the homeroom teacher, laughing it off and explaining that Mao Tu's dad was on a business trip and promised to supervise her friend strictly. The silence in Xiao Han's small house was broken by the doorbell. A brand new washing machine, a gift from Mr. Zhang, was delivered. Xiao Han's face darkened. The self-esteem of a young boy was deeply touched when having to receive such an expensive gift. He coldly demanded the delivery person take it back. That night, when his mom returned, Xiao Han dragged her to see another washing machine that he had just bought with his savings. That was not just an item, but a firm statement. He could take care of his mom by himself. They didn't need anyone's pity. Also on one evening, the image of the successful man who always appeared strong, Mr. Zhang, completely collapsed. He returned home dead drunk, rushing into the bathroom to throw up. In his drunkenness, bitter confessions poured out about the flashy exterior but the inferiority complex inside because of being looked down upon by people. About the pain of being abandoned by his wife, who went to Japan and never came back. For the first time, Mao Tu took care of his dad in that situation. Looking at the deeply wrinkled face and tired appearance of the man who was always strict with him, his heart suddenly felt a pang of pity. At school, a new challenge came to Jiayu. The class fun vanished into thin air. Amidst the buzzing gossip, all suspicious eyes turned to Jianfeng, the student with difficult circumstances. Knowing the situation, the homeroom teacher gave a profound speech, not criticizing but guiding the whole class toward tolerance and trust, believing that the classmate who made the mistake would realize their fault on their own. Her words touched everyone. Jianfeng, who had been silent from the beginning, suddenly stood up. He seriously told Jiayu that he would stay in class all noon with Wan Qing and other friends, hoping that could prove his innocence. By the afternoon, in the suspense of the whole class, Jiayu found a packet of money right in her drawer. Maybe because she accidentally put it in the wrong place. Cheers broke out, but mixed in was everyone's guilt for wrongly suspecting Jianfeng. Mr. Zhang's washing machine was still like a thorn in Xiao Han's side. He decided to find a second-hand buyer to sell it. However, when the buyer only offered 50 yuan for an item with a receipt of over 1,200 yuan, Xiao Han hesitated. The figure of over 1,000 yuan was a large amount, enough for his family's expenses for a few months. A feeling of helplessness and frustration rose. He rushed to the basketball court, using physical exertion to relieve his feelings. Meanwhile, Mao Tu's whole class caused big trouble when they were caught cheating collectively in the exam. Being invited as a parent, Mr. Zhang initially could only bow his head to apologize to the teacher and scold his son. But when scornful words that Mao Tu wouldn't amount to anything later poured out from the homeroom teacher's mouth, Mr. Zhang's patience shattered. He couldn't stand his son being humiliated, so he angrily kicked the teacher's desk. The incident made a huge fuss, causing Mao Tu to be temporarily suspended. But Mr. Zhang was not an ordinary person. He went straight to the school board and showed goodwill by donating over 40 new computers to the school's computer lab. Facing such a large investment, the school naturally withdrew the disciplinary decision. Through this, Mao Tu deeply felt his dad's love and protection for the first time. He became more obedient and focused on studying for a long time after that. On the way to school, Jiayu's trio happened to run into the thugs bullying a weaker student. Without hesitation, Chen Mo rushed up to intervene. Just then, Xiao Han rode his bike past. He just quietly picked up the money and belongings to return to the victim and calmly turned to leave. Xiao Han's action made Chen Mo furious. She blocked his bike, questioning why he could be so cowardly and indifferent. Provoked by Chen Mo's words, Xiao Han snapped. What do you get for being a hero? Can you ignore the life and death of your family members? Can you not care about how they will live later just to satisfy someone else's momentary gloating? Xiao Han's dagger-like words made Chen Mo freeze. After calming down, she realized he was completely right. They were just students. Once involved in a fight and disciplined by the school, the price to pay would be very high, especially for Xiao Han, a 12th grader standing at the threshold of college. Any mistake could ruin his entire future. To let Chen Mo understand better, Jiayu told her the heartbreaking story about Xiao Han's family. His dad, Mr. Xiao, sacrificed himself in a factory fire to save a batch of important machinery. Since then, he relied on his mom, carrying the responsibility of a man on his shoulders. That psychological shock seemed to have affected Xiao Han. In the exam to select the Math Olympiad team, he failed. Actually, before the exam, a close female friend intentionally photocopied a set of precious review materials for him because she knew he didn't have money to buy it. But his excessive pride made Xiao Han refuse. That friend blamed him for being too arrogant and unrealistic. Those words, combined with the pressure from his dad's story, made Xiao Han's heart a mess of emotions. He pedaled out of the school as if running away from himself. And then, as if arranged by fate, he ran into a group of thugs bullying students right next to the school again. This time, Xiao Han didn't hesitate. He stopped his bike, walked over, and directly told them to cut it out. A fight broke out, and just then, Jiayu, Chen Mo, and Mao Tu arrived. Seeing Xiao Han getting ganged up on, the three of them jumped in without hesitation to help. In the chaos, Mao Tu got hit hard on the head. Seeing that, Jiayu immediately rushed over, spreading her arms wide to shield him. Not long after, Textile Factory No. 9, where Jiayu and Xiao Han's parents used to work, inaugurated a memorial hall. On opening day, Xiao Han and his mom attended. They searched for Mr. Xiao's picture among the sea of people and keepsakes, but couldn't find it. The factory director found them and led them to the very last room. There, a small memorial room was set up specifically to honor him. Inside, many photos and items from when he was alive were displayed. Seeing the familiar keepsakes, the mother and son were overcome with emotion. The director, representing all the workers, once again expressed gratitude and respect for the hero, Mr. Xiao. The memorial ceremony had a deep impact on Xiao Han. What touched him most was that people hadn't forgotten his dad. He shared a famous quote by Tagore with Jiayu. There are no traces in the sky, but the birds have flown. Jiayu could feel the joy and peace in his heart. That night, Jiayu wrote down her feelings into an essay telling the moving stories of Factory No. 9. She excitedly sent it to the school newspaper. However, when the next issue came out, her article wasn't published. Disappointment washed over Jiayu. Seeing her daughter moping over the newspaper, Mrs. Qian understood everything. The next day, she went to see the homeroom teacher. After hearing Jiayu's mom explain, Teacher Zhu passed the article to Teacher Wang, who was in charge of the newspaper. Teacher Wang rated Jia Yu's article very highly. It was just that she submitted it late. He promised to publish it in the next issue and even suggested Jia Yu apply for the school's junior reporter team. Hearing that her article was about to be published, and she even had a chance to join the reporter team, Jia Yu was overjoyed. She put on the brand new sunglasses her mom just bought her, feeling confident and full of energy. To prepare for her first article, she reached out to her mysterious online friend again. As always, the guy enthusiastically helped her come up with ideas, suggesting the topic of the Millennium Transition, which was getting a lot of attention. Meanwhile, the image of Jia Yu bravely protecting him the other day hadn't faded from Mao Tu's mind. When the teacher assigned a topic about a memorable moment, he turned that story into a fantasy martial arts piece, with Jia Yu as a mighty heroine. But in the end, Mao Tu's creativity was considered fabrication, and he was punished by having to rewrite it. One evening, after Xiao Han finished tutoring the landlady's son, Mr. Zhang came to pick both mother and son up. To avoid the prying eyes of a landlord couple, he explained he was picking Xiao Han up to tutor Mao Tu some more. Back at home, Mao Tu, who wasn't into studying at all, had to play along with his dad, pulling out a math Olympiad book to ask Xiao Han for help. Xiao Han glanced at it and knew it was just an excuse. The content was too hard for Mao Tu's level, and ironically, it was the exact 180 yuan book he had dreamed of but never dared to buy. His pride hurt. He didn't say a word and dragged his mom home. Mr. Zhang tried to strike up a conversation, dropping hints about his mom's upcoming birthday, but Xiao Han just coldly replied that he already had plans. The next day, Mr. Zhang took Xiao Han's mom to the cemetery. He pointed to a plot of land and said that was where he planned to move Mr. Xiao's grave so that Xiao Han's parents could be together later, and his own grave would be not far away. Mr. Zhang hoped this action would calm Xiao Han's anger, but his mom flatly refused. The millennium milestone was approaching. Jia Yu, Wan Qing, and Chen Mo decided to do things they had always wished for but never dared to try. Wan Qing wanted an autograph from her idol, Xian Jia. Chen Mo came up with the bold idea of cutting her strict father's hair herself. And Jia Yu, encouraged by Wan Qing, made up her mind to confess to her crush. Luck smiled on Wan Qing when Xian Jia came to Shanghai to perform. She and Jia Yu successfully blocked him at the parking lot. Not only did she get an autograph CD, but Wan Qing also got to sing for her idol and receive the half-drunk milk tea he was drinking. On his mom's birthday, Xiao Han got up early to go to the market, planning to cook a bowl of longevity noodles himself. Running into Chen Mo, he listened to her show off her successful haircut achievement. Seeing Xiao Han looking unhappy, Chen Mo pressed him, and he vented his frustrations. After listening, she seriously said, "Maybe in your heart, no man is as good as your dad, but your mom has to face a lot of things alone. If there is someone who can take good care of her, that is also a good thing." Chen Mo's words were like a light bulb going off, making Xiao Han start to rethink things. That night, when his mom came home, Xiao Han served a hot bowl of noodles and a small cake. The joy wasn't even complete when Mr. Zhang and his son appeared with a much bigger cake and a bunch of fancy dishes from a restaurant. The stark contrast made Xiao Han's face go dark. Realizing his intrusion, Mr. Zhang hurriedly excused himself. Just then, Xiao Han's mom suddenly fainted. In a panic, Xiao Han could only run out to call Mao Tu for help. Mr. Zhang quickly turned the car around to take his mom to the hospital. When the doctor asked about his mom's condition, Xiao Han couldn't answer. Conversely, Mr. Zhang could rattle off that she had high blood pressure and was taking medication regularly, which stunned Xiao Han. It turned out Mr. Zhang understood his mom even better than he did. Guilt and sadness took over him when he heard Dr. Chun diagnose that his mom had anemia from overworking and blamed the family for not caring about her. After prescribing medication and requesting a 4-drip, Xiao Han gave his jacket to Mao Tu and told him to go back and rest first. In a taxi home, Mao Tu absent-mindedly pulled his hand out of Xiao Han's jacket pocket. He didn't mean to, but a letter accidentally fell out. It was Jia Yu's handwriting, and inside were passionate words of confession for Xiao Han. Mao Tu's heart shattered. It turned out the girl he had secretly loved for so long had feelings for someone else. He rolled down the car window to let the freezing wind of the winter night hit his face, hoping it could cool down the disappointment burning in his heart. At the hospital, after Xiao Han's mom was on the 4-drip and fell asleep, Mr. Zhang pulled Xiao Han outside. For the first time, he told him the story of the past. He had fallen for Mrs. Ping, Xiao Han's mom, at first sight. But that feeling wasn't reciprocated. She chose to marry Mr. Xiao. They became colleagues. Until tragedy struck, Mr. Xiao sacrificed himself, and Mr. Zhang's wife left for Japan without a word of goodbye. It was during his lowest days that Mrs. Ping stayed by his side, encouraging him to pull himself together to raise Mao Tu. At the end of the story, Mr. Zhang looked straight into Xiao Han's eyes, his voice sincere and serious. "Please allow me to take care of your mom." Xiao Han remained silent. He was a sensible kid. He hurt for his mom who had to work too hard. Finally, he nodded in agreement. But that night when he returned home, standing before his dad's photo, his heart was still a mess of emotions. To help Xiao Han's mom recover quickly, Mr. Zhang specially bought a free-range chicken and brought it to the house to make soup. But when he walked in, Mrs. Qian was already there, busy cooking because she heard her friend was sick. Mr. Zhang's appearance made Mrs. Qian confirm her suspicion even more. Mr. Zhang was definitely chasing Xiao Han's mom. New Year's Eve, the moment of the Millennium transition, was approaching. Rumor had it that if you confessed at this moment, all your wishes would come true. Wan Qing was determined to help Jia Yu carry out her plan. Overhearing classmates inviting each other to the bund to sell balloons and plastic hammers, Wan Qing came up with an idea. She invited the whole group Jia Yu, Chen Mo, Xiao Han, and Mao Tu to join. Everyone waited forever for Xiao Han to arrive, but Mao Tu was quicker on his feet and proactively offered to sell balloons with Jia Yu. With no other choice, Xiao Han had to be in a group with Chen Mo. Jia Yu couldn't hide her disappointment, but the lively atmosphere around them quickly swept her away. Xiao Han and Chen Mo worked together surprisingly well. Hearing Chen Mo wish to see fireworks, Xiao Han used a glowing headband to trade for 2 small sparklers. They lit the sparkling sticks together, with bright smiles on both their faces. Meanwhile, the moms also had a small gathering. They played cards while chatting about strange stories regarding the millennium. The kind Mrs. Qian brought out protective charms to give everyone, saying that sticking them up would turn bad luck into good luck, but everyone thought she was being superstitious. Angry, she stormed out. Seeing his wife unhappy, Mr. Qian hurriedly ran after her to comfort her. When she returned to the table, everyone tactfully praised her charm for being effective, which finally made her happy again. That night, Mr. Zhang came to pick up Xiao Han's mom from work. Facing everyone's teasing, he didn't dodge it at all, but even comfortably held her hand to walk home. Arriving home, Xiao Han's mom sincerely wished him a happy new year. That simple wish made Mr. Zhang extremely touched. He loudly declared that in the next century, they must definitely be together to celebrate the millennium at the bund, glowing in a magnificent fireworks display. Amidst the packed sea of people, reporters squeezed through to record historic moments and randomly interview tourists. When interviewed, Wan Qing didn't hesitate to send New Year greetings and express her die-hard fan love for Xianja in front of the TV camera. Standing next to each other, Chen Mo and Xiao Han watched the fireworks blooming in the sky together. The sparkling light reflected in their eyes, especially Xiao Han's. Chen Mo had never seen him so happy and at peace. At the same time, Jia Yu was pushed by the crowd and got separated from Wan Qing. Amidst the noise, she vaguely heard someone calling her name. Turning her head, she saw Mao Tu smiling, waving, and wishing her a happy new year. But Jia Yu's mind at that moment was only focused on searching for Xiao Han's figure to carry out her confession plan. After the fireworks display, Xiao Han walked Chen Mo home. Wan Qing, while going out to take out the trash, accidentally witnessed that scene. They were talking and laughing happily, and when saying goodbye, Xiao Han even lingeringly looked back at her silhouette. That scene made Wan Qing freeze. She had worked hard to set everything up for Jia Yu, only to end up accidentally playing matchmaker for Chen Mo. She didn't know how to face Jia Yu. That whole night, Wan Qing tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The next day, she went to find Chen Mo and vaguely told a story about 2 girls and a boy. She said both were good friends, but the newcomer stole the crush of the one who came first, leaving her stuck in the middle and in a very awkward position. Chen Mo, after thinking for a while, advised Wan Qing to just let nature take its course. That advice was like a way out, helping Wan Qing decide to temporarily keep this a secret from Jia Yu. Meanwhile, good news came to Jia Yu. Her article was finally published in the school's wall newspaper. Her mom was so proud that she bought several copies of the paper to hand out to the neighbors. At the same time, the whole neighborhood was buzzing about Wu Ji. He was the math prodigy in Jia Yu's class who had just shone brightly at the strongest brain competition. To test his talent, everyone gave him a long string of phone numbers, and Wu Ji recited them back exactly without missing a single digit. Amidst that happy atmosphere, everyone took turns giving early birthday gifts to Xiao Han. Jia Yu was the one who initiated this idea, hoping to bring him a memorable birthday. Xiao Han promised to invite everyone to his house for dinner on his actual birthday, and said that everyone's good final exam results would be the greatest gift. A few days later, it was time for the gathering of her close friend group, and Mrs. Qian specially bought a new outfit to show off. To show off to her friends, she even planned to borrow her mother's Omega watch, but was refused because her mother thought she was too vain. While mopping the house, Mr. Qian accidentally dropped the computer, and Jia Yu's diary was exposed. Although very curious, in the final moment, reason won out. Mrs. Qian quietly put the diary back in its place. Since exams were just over, Jiayu decided to carry out the plan to interview Wu Ji for the next article. However, the prodigy friend was suffering from stomach pain. Jiayu had to take him to Wan Qing's mother's dumpling shop. As soon as they sat down, they were surrounded by a crowd of neighborhood ladies. It turned out they recognized the strongest brain champion from TV and curiously flocked over to see his face. After Jiayu skillfully helped Wu Ji escape the crowd, the two of them could finally eat in peace and chat about studies and life. Meanwhile, Mr. Zhang was getting a headache over another issue. Since being accepted by Mrs. Ping, he was eager to finally settle the divorce with his ex-wife. Before, when he received the divorce request letter from Japan, he intentionally delayed it to spite her. Now that his second spring was right in front of him, that very delay had become an obstacle. He rushed back to the old house to find the letter, but after searching forever, he still couldn't find it. The Tet holiday was approaching, and Jiayu's dad wanted the whole family to go back to their hometown, but everyone had their own plans. Depressed, he went out and accidentally met Mr. Zhang, who was equally troubled. The two men invited each other for a drink and poured their hearts out. Mr. Qian said it had been 5 years since he returned to his hometown in Jiangxi, making his parents and siblings at home extremely angry. His father even threatened to disown him. He knew very well the reason his wife didn't want to return was because the patriarchal mindset in the countryside had made her suffer so much gossip after giving birth to Jiayu. Hearing the story, Mr. Zhang asked Xiaohan's mom to put in a good word. But no matter how much Xiaohan's mom and Wan Qing's mom tried to persuade her, Mrs. Qian firmly refused. Things got even worse when Mrs. Qian came home. Jiayu asked her mom if she had secretly read her diary, and Mrs. Qian denied it vehemently. Just then, Grandma saw the watch on her daughter's wrist and insisted that she had stolen her watch. Although Mrs. Qian explained it was a borrowed watch, Grandma still didn't believe her and even listed her daughter as past crimes of stealing things since childhood right in front of Jiayu. Those words were like a knife cutting into Mrs. Qian's emotional wounds, making her sob and recount the resentment of being treated unfairly by her mother since childhood. The job opportunity in Shanghai originally belonged to her, but her mother gave it to her older brother, pushing her to the remote countryside of Jiangxi for 15 years. Now that her brother had gone to America, that favoritism was still there. Unable to bear it, she ran out of the house. Later, when she found her watch still in the cabinet, Grandma realized she had wrongly blamed her daughter. She regretted it, and tears just kept falling. That night, when Mr. Qian came home from work and saw his wife wasn't home, he hurriedly went to look for her. After being persuaded by his husband, Mrs. Qian cooled down and returned. Jiayu brought out milk candy to comfort her mom, and Chunmo's mom personally reheated the roast duck. The family atmosphere gradually warmed up. Knowing that he couldn't go back to his hometown this Tet, Mr. Qian had to ask his boss for overtime work. That night, while massaging her husband's back, Mrs. Qian heard the phone ringing from the hometown. Mr. Qian hurriedly answered the phone and then ran to another room to call back. He suspected Mrs. Qian was quietly using the extension to eavesdrop. On the other end, his younger brother was rambling about nasty rumors in the village that Mr. Qian was not only living with his wife's family, but also had to walk on eggshells around his mother-in-law. Unable to stand that humiliation, Mrs. Qian snatched the phone and boldly declared that this year they would return to their hometown to celebrate the new year. After hanging up, Mrs. Qian didn't hesitate for a second and immediately packed their luggage. She decided to go back to the hometown with her husband to use their actions to put an end to those vicious rumors. Meanwhile, Jiayu was also busy preparing a special birthday gift for Xiaohan. She brought her computer to Mao Tu's house, asking Wu Ji to help design a beautiful starry sky effect. However, she was worried she wouldn't make it back by the 6th to attend Xiaohan's birthday. Hearing that, Mao Tu was secretly happy inside. He quickly offered to pass on the gift for her, solving the worry for the girl he secretly loved. At the same time, another storm was silently coming to Mao Tu's family. Mr. Zhang received news about his ex-wife. Mrs. Zhang was preparing to return to the country. To probe her attitude, he discussed with Mao Tu to stage a play. He wrote a letter lying that he had cancer. As long as Mrs. Zhang gave him a sum of money for treatment, he would immediately agree to divorce. To make the act more real, he even moved back to the rundown old house, where everything remained exactly like the old days. From the old furniture to the 14-inch Melody TV. His plan was fiercely opposed by Mrs. Qian. She scolded him for using illness to jinx himself. What if Mrs. Zhang believed it was true and took Mao Tu away? What would he do? The very moment Mrs. Zhang returned, she appeared with an extremely fashionable and stylish look. Just seeing his mom, Mao Tu's eyes turned red. He hurriedly turned his face away, ran to his room, and slammed the door to hide the emotions welling up. During the conversation with Mr. Zhang, Mrs. Zhang didn't suspect anything. Seeing a wine bottle on the table, she even advised him to drink less. Seizing the opportunity, Mr. Zhang immediately lamented about the expensive medical costs. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Zhang bluntly offered to give him 100,000 yuan. Hiding behind the door, Mao Tu pressed his ear to listen. He longed to see his mom clearly, but hesitated and didn't dare to step out. The image of a mother who left when he was only 4 years old left an unfillable void in his soul, both familiar yet distant. When Mrs. Zhang took out some clothes brought from Japan as gifts, Mr. Zhang intentionally asked if she bought shoes, because he knew for sure she couldn't possibly know what shoe size her son wore now. Before leaving, Mrs. Zhang scheduled that tomorrow she would prepare the money, then would go with him to the Civil Affairs Bureau to process the divorce. She just stood at the door calling in to say goodbye to Mao Tu, then left, with his heart in knots. Mao Tu could only turn to his basketball, using his energy to release his emotions. The return to the Jiangxi hometown of Mr. Qian's family was initially welcomed warmly, but that warmth quickly faded when they started living together. When Jiayu brought a gift into the kitchen for her cousin, responding to her was not thanks but snide remarks. The family meal also became heavy with insinuations about the advantage of Shanghai people, that they get bonus points in college exams and score lower by 100 points yet can still get into good schools. At first, Jiayu was extremely annoyed and didn't hesitate to retort. However, her attitude completely changed when she learned the truth behind those bitter words. Her cousin Jiali was about to drop out of school to work because her mom thought that in the house only one person needed to go to school, and that person must be the son. Hearing Jiali's tragic situation, Jiayu couldn't help but feel compassionate. A girl just in 10th grade having to put aside her dreams. What will her future be? Jiayu hugged her mom tightly. For the first time, she felt truly lucky to live with her parents in Shanghai, never having to worry about whether she could continue going to school or not. That night, Mrs. Qian and her husband had a deep conversation. She couldn't believe that in the 21st century, there were still backward places where the right to go to school was only for sons. She recalled her own pain when her mother took away her opportunity to work in Shanghai to give it to her older brother. Now, she completely understood Jia Li's feeling of helplessness. Mr. Qian, who grew up in that environment, could only explain that it was fate. He even joked that maybe it was luck because otherwise they wouldn't have met and wouldn't have the Jiayu of today. Although admitting it was destiny, Mrs. Qian still couldn't love this place. The people and events here made her feel suffocated. She suggested to her husband that they should return to Shanghai earlier than planned. In Shanghai, Mr. Zhang's play was coming to an end. Early in the morning, he rushed out because he had an appointment with Mrs. Zhang at the Civil Affairs Bureau. He excitedly got into the taxi she had called. His heart fluttered, waiting for the divorce certificate so he could rightfully be with Xiao Han's mom. However, the car didn't go to the Civil Affairs Bureau but stopped in front of a hospital. Mrs. Zhang demanded he get a health check again. The fake illness act being exposed, Mr. Zhang had to refuse. At this moment, Mrs. Zhang laid her cards on the table. She made it clear that whether he was sick or not, she would still give him 100,000 yuan. But in return, she had to get custody of Mao Tu. Mao Tu was Mr. Zhang's only hope for living. Mrs. Zhang Min's proposal was like a knife stabbing straight into his heart. She argued that she could give Mao Tu a better future in Japan. Unable to stand it anymore, Mr. Zhang didn't need to pretend either. He gritted his teeth, reminding her not to look down on others, that he now also had a company and his own career. The conversation turned into a fierce argument. Finally, both left in anger, and the divorce hit a dead end again. Returning home after the argument, Mr. Zhang immediately found a suit for Mao Tu to wear, telling him to go meet his mom and say that he lived very well in Shanghai and didn't need to go to Japan. To increase the chance of winning, he even planned to take Xiao Han's mother and son along. But Xiao Han's mom tactfully refused. Not long after Mrs. Zhang arrived, the conversation quickly turned into a heated argument, and the center of the storm was still Mao Tu. Unable to bear the scene of parents fighting over him like an item, Mao Tu angrily ran away. He found a public phone booth and called Jiayu to pour out his heart. Jiayu's patient comfort helped him gradually calm down. Afterward, Xiao Han's mom found him and took him home. Finally, despite constant arguing, Mr. Zhang and his wife still decided to divorce. After receiving the certificate, he invited her for a final meal. They reminisced about her difficult days when she first went to Japan. She admitted that if he had held her back then, maybe she would have stayed. But responding to that confession, Mr. Zhang only asked one question without hesitation. Were you going back to Japan? The past is over. The gap of more than 10 years has severed all connections between them. Meanwhile, in the hometown, Jiayu missed the moment Wu Ji won the intelligence competition again because the TV was hogged by her male cousin. During the meal, seeing Jia Li reading a book, her mother scolded her daughter that since she was about to quit school, reading books was useless. Jiayu couldn't hold back and talked back. only to get scolded by the elders in the house. Jia schooling became the main topic at the dinner table. Mrs. Qian remembered her own pain and firmly supported Jia Li continuing school, even if it might upset her sister-in-law. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Mr. Qian stepped in to mediate. He announced he would cover all tuition fees for Jia Li's 3 years of high school. Facing her husband's unexpected generosity, Mrs. Qian also generously agreed. Finally, Jia Li had the chance to continue studying. Joy was clearly visible on the girl's face. On New Year's Eve, Mao Tu anxiously waited for Jia Yu's call. But in Jiangxi, the phone was hogged by her uncle and aunt. Jia Yu stood nearby, impatient as fire. At home, Mao Tu was so nervous he mistook the phone ringing sound on the Spring Gala show for the real thing. Finally, when the real phone rang, he happily ran to answer it. But it was a call for Grandma. After calling back and forth many times, Jia Yu finally connected with Mao Tu. But after a few hurried New Year wishes, she asked him to pass the phone to Grandma. Mao Tu couldn't hide his disappointment. Besides Mao Tu, there was another person who was determined to send wishes to Jia Yu, and that was Wu Ji. He had memorized the phone number from Jia Yu's notebook, and after a few tries, he finally found her. The two happily wished each other a happy new year over the phone, a secret that Jia Yu had no idea about. The soulmate she often chatted with on QQ. The person who always understood and shared with her was none other than Mao Tu. He quietly hid his true identity, continuing to be her mysterious confidant in the virtual world. Finally, Jia Yu's dad agreed to let the whole family return to Shanghai on the 6th day of Tet, just in time for Xiaohan's birthday. During the days apart, feelings between Chen Mo and Xiaohan blossomed through long phone calls. Chen Mo even promised to give Xiaohan a special gift on his birthday. On Xiaohan's actual birthday, Chen Mo went to Jia Yu's house to borrow tape. When she walked into the room, she saw photos and diary entries, all directed toward Xiaohan. Chen Mo was stunned. The academic heartthrob that Wan Qing and Jia Yu always mentioned wasn't Wu Ji, but was actually Xiaohan. Chen Mo was completely panicked. The guilt of accidentally stealing her best friend's crush made her unable to face the truth. She hugged the prepared gift and ran home, cutting off all contact with Xiaohan. She used the excuse of being sick and asked Jia Yu to send birthday wishes for her. Hearing that Chen Mo was sick, Xiaohan was extremely worried. He immediately brought a small birthday cake to visit her at home. Seeing the cake carefully placed in a box by him, Chen Mo knew he had put a lot of thought into it. But to extinguish his hope, she had to play the role of a heartless person. She coldly said she wasn't feeling well, so she couldn't eat the cake. And the gift promised earlier was just a casual joke. Those words were like knives stabbing straight into Xiaohan's heart. He didn't understand why Chen Mo suddenly became so cold. With his pride deeply hurt, he could only sadly return. At the birthday party, Jia Yu gave Xiaohan the gift she had painstakingly prepared. A sparkling 3D Starry Sky model. Xiaohan's rare smile when receiving the gift made Jia Yu happy all day. After the party, Mao Tu helped her carry the computer home. Seeing Jia Yu still floating in happiness, Mao Tu said that he would also take the exam for the number 2 school, and after getting in, he would tell her a secret. At the same time, Wu Ji shone on TV once again, winning the memory competition. Even though the opponent was a university student, the 15-year-old boy showed he was not inferior at all. When the host announced the prize was a 2-bedroom apartment, Wu Ji appeared indifferent, even saying that having so many houses was useless, which surprised everyone. Witnessing Wu Ji's excellent performance on TV, Jia Yu and her group couldn't help but admire him. They agreed that when he returned, they must definitely organize a grand celebration meal. However, while her friends were happy, Chen Mo was drowning in torment. The guilt of accidentally coming between Jia Yu and Xiaohan made her unable to face them. She started intentionally avoiding them. Every morning, instead of going to school together like before, she lingered in the house. Waiting until the figures of Jia Yu and Xiaohan had disappeared, she quietly went out the door. After Tet, a fresh breeze blew into the classroom when a new transfer student arrived. Just seeing the new guy, Wan Qing's heart skipped a beat. It was Liu Yao, the young reporter she had met at the Bund on New Year's Eve. His handsome looks and confident demeanor conquered Wan Qing from the very first meeting. At the same time, another incident hit Jia Yu's family. Mrs. Qian, after many years of working hard at the supermarket, was extremely indignant when she found out new employees were paid 1,000 yuan while her salary was still stuck at 800 yuan. She stormed over to reason with Boss Chow, but only received an arrogant attitude and a challenging statement. If you want to work, then work. Unable to stand the injustice, Mrs. Qian angrily quit her job. Hearing the story, both Wan Qing's mom and Mrs. Ping thought she had been too rash. At the age of 40 or 50, with no special skills other than experience working in a closed-down factory, the chance of finding a new job was extremely slim. Realizing the harsh reality, Mrs. Qian regretted it a little. She started throwing herself into the job hunt, buying stacks of newspapers hoping to find an opportunity for herself. At school, luck finally smiled on Wan Qing when Lu Yao was assigned to sit at the same desk with her. Every day, she tried to find ways to attract the handsome guy's attention. When the class monitor brought the registration form for the speech contest to invite Lu Yao, Wan Qing realized he wasn't interested at all, so she quickly stepped in to help him out, reminding the monitor that the homeroom teacher said to put studying first and not get distracted by school activities. With the determination to get into the number 2 school to keep his promise, Mao Tu frequently went to Jia Yu's house for extra studying. The strange thing was that the student who was usually hyperactive and slept in class now became extremely serious and attentive when teacher Jia Yu explained the lessons. This 180-degree change amazed even Jia Yu herself. The regret of rashly quitting her job kept tormenting Mrs. Qian. She lowered herself to bring gifts to the supermarket to apologize, but only received a condescending attitude and harsh sarcasm from the boss. Happening to stop by the supermarket, Mr. Qian witnessed everything and learned that his wife had been unemployed for days. The heart of the husband who loved his wife felt like it was being squeezed. He didn't want his wife to suffer any more grievances, so he comforted her to just stay home and rest, saying he was strong enough to take care of the whole family alone. The family burden now weighed heavily on his shoulders. He worked harder day and night. But once, while helping a customer carry luggage, a sharp pain in his back took him down. The doctor diagnosed him with a herniated disc, requiring him to rest for at least a month if he didn't want surgery. Seeing her husband lying on the hospital bed with his head wrapped in white bandages, Mrs. Qian cried her heart out. The burden of food and money forced Mrs. Qian to tighten her belt. Right at this moment, her mother rarely gave her 1,000 yuan. Mrs. Qian was overjoyed, thinking her mom gave the money to organize her upcoming 44th birthday. She even excitedly suggested booking a party at the restaurant on the Oriental Pearl Tower. But the joy wasn't complete before it was extinguished by a slip of the tongue from her mother. This money was to prepare to welcome her brother coming back from abroad soon. The emotional wound about her mother's favoritism was reopened once again. Mrs. Qian angrily put the money back on the table and left. Only after Mr. Qian quietly explained did Grandma stunningly realize she had actually forgotten her daughter's birthday. She felt very guilty. Meanwhile, Mrs. Qian went to find her close friends to vent. After being advised, she decided not to let sadness take over. She asked Shun Mo's mom to find a way to help her book a table at that luxury restaurant. Meanwhile, at school, a new opportunity came to Wan Qing. The school organized an international exchange activity, and with her fluent English ability, she had the chance to be the MC along with Lu Yao. To have the most perfect image next to her crush, Wan Qing started a strict weight loss campaign, putting all her favorite snacks deep in the cupboard. On nights when she was starving, she only took the candy bag out to look at it to curb the craving. In the days that followed, Mrs. Qian and Grandma were immersed in the joy of seeing their relative again soon. They were busy shopping for clothes, preparing everything perfectly. But then bad news struck. A phone call informed them that her 2 brothers had an unexpected issue and had to postpone their plan to return to the country. The false joy made Mrs. Qian extremely disappointed. She sadly went to find her friends to cancel the book table. This shock was like the straw that broke the camel's back, making her feel how precarious and helpless her current life was. They say at 40, you should have everything figured out, but why did she feel more confused than ever? The 3 best friends, sharing the same feelings, suddenly came up with the idea to return to the old factory where their youth's memories were kept. The factory where they had entrusted nearly 20 years of their youth. Now it was just a pile of ruined rubble, patchy walls, and crooked roofs, everything stained with time. Sharing an umbrella, they walked among the ruins, reminiscing about the vibrant days past. Back then, even though work was busy, they were always full of energy and belief in the future. The factory had good benefits. Even money for milk powder for kids was paid for. As long as you worked hard, life would always be stable. But now, a day without a job is a day of worrying about how to live next month. Amidst that nostalgic atmosphere, Mrs. Ping suddenly came up with an idea. The 3 of them would take the exam to become flight attendants together. At first, Mrs. Qian and Wan Qing's mom were both hesitant and lacked confidence. But thinking back, if time could turn back 20 years, they definitely wouldn't hesitate to sign up. With enthusiastic encouragement from their friend, the 3 decided to give it a try. They started the preparation process seriously. Mrs. Ping asked Mr. Zhang to record a video so they could review and adjust their posture themselves. They even asked Wan Qing's dad, Mr. Liu, for help. He had experience guiding etiquette and how to walk. Using the catwalk steps for the first time, everyone felt both new and happy. They practiced sticking their chests out, straightening their backs, and even balancing books on their heads. Although starting from zero, their hard work and determination were not inferior to young girls. At home, Xiaohan became an English tutor for his mom. Mrs. Ping absorbed it quite fast, but for Mrs. Qian and Wan Qing's mom, it was a huge challenge. Not touching a foreign language for decades, memorizing dozens of communication sentences in a few days was impossible. Luckily, Mao Tu came up with a smart way, using Chinese to link meanings and pronunciation, helping the moms learn much more easily. Wan Qing, with the determination to be chosen as the MC, was also trying her best. She not only lost weight, but also started doing aerobics with her mom. Seeing her best friend's whole family trying hard for their dreams, Jiayu felt she needed to follow that example. She and Chen Mo even guessed that Wan Qing definitely had a crush on Lu Yao. Otherwise, how could a snack lover like her fast so drastically? Meanwhile, Mrs. Qian was also frantically learning English. Her husband specially copied the video Mr. Zhang filmed for the whole family to watch and give feedback. However, her effort wasn't recognized by her mother. She thought her daughter was over 40 and didn't walk straight anymore. So how could she have the aura of a flight attendant? She even compared her daughter to Mrs. Ping, who stood out in the factory since childhood, praising her for having a natural aura. Her mother's harsh words hurt Mrs. Qian's self-esteem. Although she didn't admit it verbally, inside she started to get discouraged. Hearing the argument between the mother and daughter, Mrs. Ping guessed the reason. She found a chance to talk privately with her friend's mom. She explained that this decision to take the exam wasn't to win, but to find back the spirit of being 18, to relive the passionate days of youth. Understanding her children's wish, Grandma not only stopped objecting, but also specially invited old friends to the house to set up a mock interview to cheer them on and give feedback. Wan Qing's mom had worked hard selling things all her life and never had time to take care of herself. Now needing a decent outfit for the interview, she realized she had nothing suitable. Seeing her friend struggling, Mrs. Fong, who was the most well-off in the group, didn't hesitate to choose the best fabric and order 3 graceful cheongsams tailored for her 3 friends. Wearing a cheongsam for the first time, looking at the meticulously hand-embroidered flowers, Wan Qing's mom couldn't help but be emotional. Arriving home, she excitedly tried it on immediately, but the last 5 centimeters of the zipper stubbornly refused to yield. She tried to suck in her stomach and hold her breath to zip it up. Just then, her husband came home. Instead of a compliment, he dropped a heartless remark. People with good figures look good in anything, but a plump person like you wearing a cheongsam shows no waist curve at all. Her husband's words were like a bucket of cold water thrown on her. She felt sorry for herself, thinking that he rarely cared about the business, only busy dancing with young girls every day, always in high spirits, so of course he kept his shape. Realizing he misspoke, Wan Qing's dad could only stay silent. After restless efforts, good news finally came to Wan Qing. She excellently overcame many heavyweights to be chosen as the MC with Lu Yao. Lu Yao came to congratulate her after school. To have a chance to get closer, Wan Qing used the excuse that her bike was broken. Lu Yao happily agreed to give her a ride home. However, after a few tries, maybe because Wan Qing was too heavy, in the end, the driver was her, and Lu Yao sat securely on the back seat. Although a bit upside down, Wan Qing was still extremely happy. One afternoon after school, it rained. Seeing Chanamo didn't have an umbrella, Xiaohan didn't hesitate to give her his only umbrella and then turned to run into the rain. As a result, he caught a cold. At home, Chinamo kept picking up the phone and putting it down, hesitating whether to call to check on him. Finally, when she summoned enough courage to dial the number and the phone connected, she stammered and couldn't speak. Meanwhile, Mao Tu became a reluctant English tutor for Mrs. Qian. Their levels were equal, making learning much easier and more fun. Mao Tu kept using the Chinese homophone method to help her memorize things. It actually worked really well. Once, Mrs. Qian asked Mao Tu to put some folded clothes into Jiayu's closet. It was his first time opening his crush's closet. When he saw her bras neatly folded, Mao Tu's face turned beet red, and he slammed the closet door shut and bolted. Even though Wan Qing was on a very strict diet, she felt like the weight loss was too slow. She saw an ad for diet pills in a magazine and secretly bought a few boxes to try. As a result, she got nonstop diarrhea. During PE class, while practicing her script with Lu Yao, she could only get half a sentence out before she had to rush to ask the teacher for a bathroom break, leaving Lu Yao standing there totally confused. Worried about their friend, Chen Mo and Jiayu quickly followed her. When they found out Wan Qing was taking diet pills, they both tried their best to talk her out of it, explaining that those pills only cause diarrhea and are completely unhealthy. One evening on the way home, Mrs. Fong and her husband happened to see Mr. Liu and Mrs. Li walking out of an apartment building together, chatting and laughing happily. Getting curious, Mrs. Fong secretly followed them from a distance. Her husband reminded her not to meddle in other people's business. If the information was wrong, it could cause serious trouble. But because she was so worried about her best friend, Mrs. Fong couldn't help but tell Mrs. Ping and Mrs. Qian about it. Mrs. Qian, who was naturally gossipy, remembered that back at the factory, Mrs. Li was always hanging around Mr. Liu. Now, they were even going in and out of a building together. Who knows what was going on? She worried that if Wan Qing's mom didn't know anything and lost her edge, she would be at a total disadvantage. When she heard the story, Wan Qing's mom tried to act cool, saying she had known for a long time that Mr. Liu only saw Mrs. Li as a dance partner and that she already had a family. But inside, her heart was racing. Mrs. Qian was still worried her friend was just bottling up her anger, so she even offered for everyone to go talk things out clearly with Mrs. Li. But Wan Qing's mom just stayed silent and didn't answer. During the dress rehearsal, Wan Qing planned to show Liu Yao an old photo, revealing they had a chance to host a show together years ago. However, just as she was about to speak, the dean showed up. She announced that the teachers had decided to replace Wan Qing with Zhao Ding, a taller and slimmer girl, to be the MC with Liu Yao. The reason given was that the height difference between Wan Qing and Liu Yao wouldn't look good on stage. After all that hard work, being replaced right before the big event was a huge shock for Wan Qing. The homeroom teacher tried to object, but the final decision stayed the same. Not wanting to see her teacher argue, Wan Qing forced a smile and said she didn't mind. But as soon as she stepped out of the school gates, she couldn't hold it in anymore and ran home crying. Ironically, that day was also the day the moms went for their flight attendant interviews. When Mr. Qian and Mr. Zhang were getting ready to take their wives, Wan Qing's mom refused to let her husband come along. Her cold attitude left Mr. Liu completely confused, but since it was almost interview time, he had no choice but to stay at the shop. Wan Qing ran home crying. A little while later, the homeroom teacher also came to the shop to comfort her. The teacher felt bad for not being able to protect his studentess' rights, but he had secured another opportunity for her as a tour guide for a foreign group. This was a chance for her to use what she learned and practice her English communication skills. After being comforted by the teacher, a smile returned to Wan Qing's face. At the same time, after Mr. Liu figured everything out, he quickly caught a taxi to the interview site to cheer on his wife. When he got there, Wan Qing's mom was losing her nerve. There were beautiful young girls everywhere. She felt completely out of place and lost her confidence so much that she felt like the cheongsam she was wearing was about to rip open. Mr. Liu, dripping with sweat, ran to his wife's side, panting as he told her he had reinforced the cheongsam very carefully. He had personally re-sewed every single stitch. He even took out a sparkling brooch to decorate her outfit. This was when all the misunderstandings were cleared up. It turned out he'd been teaching Mrs. Li's husband how to dance to earn extra money for the brooch. Her husband's devotion gave Wan Qing's mom a boost of strength. She regained her confidence and continued the competition with her friends. Even though none of them were ultimately hired, they all felt extremely happy. To them, the important thing was that they dared to participate and dare to dream. The young girls around them even crowded around, saying they were really inspired and motivated. Mr. Zhang took commemorative photos to mark this memorable moment. As a tour guide, Wan Qing took a foreign friend to visit many famous spots in Shanghai. But the thing this friend enjoyed most wasn't the skyscrapers or the beautiful river views. It was when Wan Qing took him back to her family's dumpling shop. Getting to taste such delicious food for the first time, he ate every bit of it, not even leaving a drop of soup. Wan Qing's mom and Mrs. Qian saw that and couldn't help but feel proud of their hometown's food. Just then, Mr. Qian ran in excitedly, holding up a newspaper. The photo of the moms at the flight attendant interview was on the front cover. To keep as a souvenir, Mr. Zhang generously bought a whole stack of newspapers. Everyone happily suggested that Wan Qing's mom should stick their photo on the shop door so everyone could see it. Amidst the shared joy, Wan Qing's mom was a bit hesitant. Lately, business at the dumpling shop hadn't been great. An assorted rice shop across the street had just opened and was stealing all the customers. After thinking it over carefully, she and Song Ming decided to close the shop. This news made everyone very sad. The dumpling shop wasn't just a way to make a living. It was where they gathered to chat and share their joys and sorrows. Mrs. Qian couldn't hold back her tears. Seeing this, Mr. Liu comforted everyone, saying that even though the dumpling shop was gone, they could still open a dance studio or a mini-market. The most important thing was that they could still be together to build a better life. At the farewell party for the European delegation, Jim, the foreign friend Wan Qing hosted, stood up and publicly praised her English skills and her warm, down-to-earth personality. He even played the guitar and sang Jasmine Flower himself. Amidst everyone's admiring looks, he walked toward Wan Qing and gave her a bracelet. The whole hall erupted in cheers, and Wan Qing was overwhelmed with a level of happiness and honor she had never felt before. Before leaving, Jim revealed that he originally only planned to say a few nice words, but Liu Yao was the one who suggested he play and sing instead. Wan Qing finally understood that Liu Yao wasn't someone who only noticed pretty girls, but she was still afraid. She was like the little match girl in the fairy tale finding the light only to have it blow out. Liu Yao reassured her that wasn't the case, and that every time she smiles, that smile can light up a whole starry sky. To save the family dumpling shop, Wan Qing asked Liu Yao for help. With his experience interning at the TV station, he invited a respected reporter to interview her mom, Mrs. Ping, and the friends who went to the flight attendant interview together. The story of a generation's hard work, friendship, and family love touched many people's hearts after the program was broadcast. People from all over came to the dumpling shop, making the business flourish more every day. Even though Wu Ji lived quite far away, he became a regular at the shop. He often rode his bike over to buy dumplings and then went to school with Jia Yu and the others. A girl's intuition helped Wan Qing realize that Wu Ji might have a secret crush on Jia Yu. She decided to help the math prodigy realize his feelings by creating opportunities for them to be alone together. One afternoon, Wan Qing intentionally asked Chen Mo to stay behind and practice shot put so that Wu Ji and Jia Yu could walk home together. But just as they stepped out of the school gate, they bumped into Mao Tu. He was also carrying his school bag and hurriedly greeted Jia Yu, saying he just happened to be passing by to check out his future school. Seeing Wu Ji with Jia Yu while Wan Qing and Chen Mo weren't there, Mao Tu couldn't help but get suspicious. He remembered a time when it rained before, and Wu Ji was also the one who shared an umbrella to take Jia Yu home. In Mao Tu's eyes, Wu Ji was his #1 rival. He immediately waved his hand and told Wu Ji to go home first, saying there was no need to walk Jia Yu anymore. Wu Ji, who was usually quiet, actually spoke up this time to explain that he was just stopping by Wan Qing's dumpling shop for dinner on his way home. Right then, Jia Yu suddenly remembered that Wu Ji's mom was out playing mahjong tonight and wouldn't be cooking. Being thoughtful, she led both Wu Ji and Mao Tu to the dumpling shop and even specifically ordered 2 chicken drumsticks and fried eggs for Wu Ji. She even leaned into his ear and whispered that he could ask Wan Qing's mom for whatever he wanted to eat here, as the shop could make it happen. Witnessing the special attention Jia Yu gave to Wu Ji, the jealousy in Mao Tu's heart flared up intensely. He felt like a third wheel. While Wan Qing's mom asked Jia Yu to help out in the kitchen for a bit, he couldn't control himself and emptied all the seasoning jars on the table into Wu Ji's bowl. In another development, Mr. Zhang was both happy and worried seeing his son studying hard every day. Knowing his son better than anyone, he understood that hard work alone wasn't enough. With a father's heart, he decided to give his son a hand. He came up with the idea of asking the straight-A student, Xiao Han, to tutor Mao Tu and to not hurt anyone's pride. He tactfully said this was a way to pay Xiao Han for the tutoring so it would help his family's income. However, Mao Tu strongly objected. His only motivation for studying was being with Jia Yu every day. If it were changed to Xiao Han, he definitely wouldn't be able to focus. He tried every way to stop his dad's good intentions. After the study session, Mr. Zhang pulled Xiao Han to a corner and quietly asked if he knew any way to get into #2 high school without relying on test scores. He even revealed rumors that Chen Mo got into the school that way. However, Mao Tu wasn't close with Chen Mo's family, so Xiao Han volunteered to help him ask around. During the break the next day, Xiao Han went to Chen Mo's class. He saw her talking happily and even lightly kicking the leg of her desk mate when he lost a game. Her frank and unreserved manner made Xiao Han a bit hesitant. He waited outside for a long time, and only when it was almost time for class did a classmate call Chen Mo out. Without any small talk, Xiao Han went straight to the point, asking how she got into the school and if her dad knew someone. That blunt and insensitive question was like a bucket of cold water thrown on Chen Mo's pride. She felt insulted and sarcastically shot back, asking if the student council president was in charge of that now too. The next day, Chen Mo brought back the raincoat and badge that Xiao Han had lent her to return them. Seeing him try to refuse, she didn't say a word, threw the items straight on the ground, and turned to walk away, cutting off all contact. Meanwhile, after all his hard work, Mao Tu only got a test result that was just barely a passing grade, and his self-esteem was seriously hurt. He felt helpless with the academic path. He started looking for another way, a place where he could find a sense of success. Realizing he had a special talent for games, Mao Tu made a decision to become a professional gamer. Seeing his son increasingly immersed in the virtual world of games, Mr. Zhang couldn't help but worry. He personally brought gifts to Chen Mo's house, hoping to ask for a favor through their connections. But Mr. Chen Mo's dad, flatly refused, not only saying he had no way to help, but also demanding he take the gifts back. Not able to let Mao Tu continue to go astray, Jia Yu decided to use his own strength to wake him up. She went everywhere looking for a gaming expert, because Mao Tu once claimed that as long as someone could beat him, he would give up on the idea of being a pro gamer. After a few failures, hope suddenly flashed when Wu Ji, after a long yawn, said, "I want to give it a try." The showdown happened just as expected. Mao Tu, with his usual confidence, even arrogantly challenged Wu Ji, saying that if he lost, he had to stay away from Jiayu. But he never expected that someone who had only practiced gaming for a week like Wu Ji could easily beat him in the very first round. Feeling uneasy, Mao Tu used the excuse that a professional match must be best 2 out of 3, only to lose all 3 rounds fair and square. The humiliating defeat left Mao Tu stunned. Not until Wu Ji left the internet cafe did he snap out of it and chase after him. He asked Wu Ji if he really just came to play a game. Wu Ji frankly replied, "I couldn't stand seeing Jiayu begging all over the place because of you." He also advised Mao Tu not to waste time on games. The probability of becoming a pro gamer is only 1 in 1,000. Meanwhile, the probability of getting into number 2 high school is 20%. The academic path, though difficult, is still much easier. Moreover, with his current level, Mao Tu was only among the 90% of people with average ability. Wu Ji's blunt words were like a bucket of cold water thrown on Mao Tu's smugness. He had nothing left to say. Wu Ji even asked if he had really focused on his studies. His hard work over the past month was just an act. That night, when he returned home, Mao Tu heard the sound of his dad vomiting in the bathroom. He knew his dad had to go out drinking again to find a way to get him into a good school. Helping his dad to bed, he went back to his room and saw a letter hurriedly written on toilet paper. Those were the heartfelt words of his father, saying that everyone loved him and never looked down on him because of his grades. His father's devotion became a great motivation that helped Mao Tu resolve to try his best. Seeing his son studying hard every day, even being so tired he fell asleep at the desk, Mr. Zhang felt very relieved. No matter what the result was, as long as his son tried his best, he felt happy. Even when Chun Mo's mom wanted to introduce a good tutor, he refused. He believed his son's self-motivated studying now was more effective than any forced tutoring. The basketball tournament at number 2 high school was about to start. However, Chun Mo's class was in danger of having a dropout when their key player, Jian Feng, suddenly got a sprained ankle. That was until she heard their next opponent was Xiao Han's class, and the fire of determination in Chun Mo's heart flared up. She stepped up to encourage everyone, promising to treat the whole team to a big KFC feast if they won. Chun Mo's attractive promise gave the whole team a boost. With high spirits, they played an incredible game and won a spectacular victory. During the match, Xiao Han even accidentally got hit in the nose by the ball, getting a nosebleed. While the players from Chun Mo's class were hugging each other in celebration, Xiao Han quietly left with a sad look on his face. Seeing that, Chun Mo couldn't help but feel a pang of pity. She quietly went to Xiao Han's class, wrote an apology on a paper airplane, and gently tossed it onto his desk. When Xiao Han received the paper airplane, all the misunderstandings and grudges between them seemed to vanish magically. Meanwhile, Wan Qing was still wondering about Wu Ji's feelings. To help her friend clearly figure out his heart, she set up a test. Wu Ji had given Jiayu a chocolate bar. Seeing the adorable, shy look on Jiayu's face, he suddenly realized the answer. He declared that he liked going to school with all 3 girls. His feelings weren't just for one person. Finally, the day Mao Tu received his test result arrived. He got into number 2 high school, fulfilling his dream. Before that, he had secretly promised himself that if he passed, he would confess to Jiayu. But on the exact day he planned to say it, he saw Jiayu absorbed in reading a Jin Yong novel. She explained to him about a male character who chose to bury his feelings when he found out his crush was already engaged, because by not saying anything, he would have more time to be by her side. Jiayu's words were like a hint that made Mao Tu decide to keep his feelings a secret. To prepare for a new article on the wall newspaper, Jiayu decided to go for a field trip to a fishing village. Wan Qing and Chun Mo were also excited to go along. Hearing news of a once-in-a-century meteor shower coming soon, the 3 planned to do surveys during the day and watch this amazing phenomenon together at night. Meanwhile, Mao Tu, now a 10th grader, was facing the curiosities of puberty. A friend brought a bag of adult movies to class. To satisfy the group's curiosity, Mao Tu secretly brought a player to the old house, pulled the curtains, locked the door, and watched with his friends. Mr. Zhang happened to stop by the old house and saw the door was locked from the inside with a bunch of boys looking nervous and uneasy. He checked and found the projector was burning hot, pulled out the movie disc, and immediately understood everything. Fearing his son would go down the wrong path, he couldn't control himself and gave Mao Tu a beating. During the school field trip, that bag of yellow movies became a ticking time bomb once again. Its owner, Wang Bin, was afraid of being caught by his parents, so he gave it to Mao Tu to hold. But since he had just been beaten for it, he didn't dare keep it for another second. After thinking it over, Wang Bin decided to entrust this treasure to Xiao Han, a good student who he believed would never be suspected by parents. although he was told repeatedly not to open it. The curiosity of a teenager won out. After Wang Bin left, Xiaohan secretly opened it and was startled. Hearing his mom's footsteps, he hurriedly hid the bag of movies and stack of books under the bed. Meanwhile, another storm was hitting Chun Mo's family. Her dad, Mr. Chun, got promoted and had to transfer to another city. Mrs. Fong strongly objected. Her daughter was about to take the college entrance exam, and she herself had a stable job and a group of close friends here. She didn't want to start all over again. Wan Qing's mom and Mrs. Qian came up with all sorts of schemes for their friend. From being soft to being tough, all efforts became meaningless when Mrs. Fong found out her husband had decided everything on his own. From a job transfer to arranging a new school for their daughter and a new job for his wife. The wall of defense in her heart completely collapsed. She questioned her husband on why he always thought he was right and why he never respected her opinion. Faced with his wife's strong resistance, Mr. Chen angrily left. Ironically, the taxi he took was driven by Mr. Qian. Since they already knew each other and Mr. Chen had helped him a lot with English, the two men quickly became close. Hearing his friend hadn't eaten anything, Mr. Qian took him to the dumpling shop. There, they ran into Mr. Zhang, who had once asked Mr. Chen for help with Mao Tu. From this unexpected meeting, they realized their wives had been best friends for a long time. The relationship suddenly grew closer. The three men sat together, venting about their wives' bad habits. Mr. Chen also took this chance to pour his heart out about the recent argument. Somewhere else, while helping her friend clean the house, Mrs. Qian accidentally discovered Chen Mo's secret. She found moody short poems, a carefully prepared birthday gift that was never given, and especially a paper airplane with carefully handwritten words, including a line about feeling Xiaohan wasn't as annoying as when they first met. Below the signature was the word Han, which made Mrs. Qian and Mrs. Fong start speculating. They immediately told Mrs. Ping about this discovery. At first, Mrs. Ping couldn't believe her ears. She knew her son better than anyone. A good kid who came home right after school to do homework, how could he be in a relationship so early? But when Mrs. Qian showed the paper airplane found in Xiaohan's room, folded exactly like the one in Chun Mo's room, she started to worry. She hurriedly searched her son's room and found the bag of adult movies hidden deep under the bed. Both mothers were panicked. They couldn't imagine how far the two kids had gone. That night, Mrs. Qian told her husband everything. As reasonable parents, they understood that first crushes are unavoidable during puberty. But Mrs. Qian had read her daughter's diary and knew her heart. She hurriedly called Jiayu, telling her that no matter what happened, she had to stay strong, because even big things would seem small in a few years. Jiayu listened without understanding anything, thinking something serious had happened at home. That night, Jiayu's plan to watch the meteor shower was canceled by a heavy rain and the cryptic phone call from her parents. When she returned to the dorm, Wan Qing said Xiaohan had just come to bring an umbrella to Chen Mo. A little later, the rain stopped, but Chen Mo still hadn't returned. Worried, Jiayu and Wan Qing went to look for her. They found the two on the rooftop. At first, Xiaohan only intended to give Chen Mo the umbrella. But in the quiet space with just the two of them, he couldn't hold back and asked why she had avoided him since his birthday. All the misunderstandings were slowly cleared up. Xiaohan realized Chen Mo liked him too, but she had buried her feelings because of Jiayu. Under the romantic meteor shower, Xiaohan took Chen Mo's hand, and they smiled at each other, a smile of understanding and a new beginning. All those images were seen by Jiayu. That boy smiling so brightly at another girl was the brother Xiaohan she had loved for so many years. Her heart felt like it shattered, and that girl was Chen Mo, her best friend, the one who had helped her with her makeup that night and wished her luck with her confession. The feeling of betrayal and hurt was more than Jiayu could take. She quietly left the dorm, found a hidden corner on the stairs, and stayed up all night in tears. The field trip ended. When classes resumed, Jiayu's seat was still empty. Chen Mo looked at the empty desk, her heart heavy with guilt. After school, Xiaohan went to visit Jiayu, but her mother tactfully refused, saying that whatever he wanted to say, Jiayu already knew. A little later, Chen Mo also arrived. She tried to explain that at first, she really didn't know Jiayu's crush was Xiaohan, and that the meteor shower night was just an accident, but she was met with a gloomy and frail Jiayu. She said that even though she knew neither of them was at fault, she simply couldn't forgive them. Understanding the whole story, Mr. Chen quickly started the paperwork to transfer his daughter to another school. He told the mother and daughter to pack up, as they would move immediately the next day. Faced with her husband's forced decision, Mrs. Fong and Chen Mo firmly objected, but Mr. Chun's attitude didn't budge. When words became meaningless and endurance hit its limit, Mrs. Fong made the decision to get a divorce. This news quickly reached Xiaohan's ears. He returned home with a heavy heart, slumped over his desk. While passing Chen Mo's class, he happened to overhear Mr. Chun and the teacher talking about her dropping out. He understood that Chun Mo was about to move away and that the underlying cause was definitely related to that fateful meteor shower night. He never wanted things to turn out this bad. That night, in the house with just the mother and daughter, seeing her mom packing her dad-ass things at the living room door, Chun Mo sadly asked if a divorce was really necessary. She didn't want to transfer, and she didn't want her parents to split up. Mrs. Fong hugged her. She said that in the past she had given in too much, moving house and school countless times just to follow her husband's wishes. But this time, for her daughter, she wouldn't back down. Seeing her mom's determination, Chun Mo also opened up about her recent troubles. She said that actually, between her and Xiao Han, it was just a sudden hand-holding during the meteor shower, nothing more. Hearing that, Mrs. Fong felt somewhat relieved. Meanwhile, seeing Xiao Han's low spirits, Mr. Zhang came by. He didn't just check on him, but started giving him a pep talk like a father would. He asked what Xiao Han planned to do about his future, and Chun Mo Xiao Han just stayed silent. He really didn't know. Mr. Zhang used his own story to advise Xiao Han. He said, at this age, the most important thing is the college entrance exam. No one can say for sure what Chun Mo's future will be like. It all depends on fate. If it's meant to be, a few years apart won't be a barrier. Just like me and Xiao Han's mom, after all those years of waiting, we could finally be together. Mr. Zhang's advice was like a light, helping Xiao Han escape the mess in his heart. He had witnessed the difficult but fulfilling journey of Mr. Zhang and his mother. If middle-aged people like them could find each other again, why couldn't teenagers like him and Chun Mo believe in time? Thinking of this, Xiao Han knew what he had to do. He sat at his desk and mapped out a detailed study plan, determined to put all his heart and strength into his studies. Jiayu hadn't been to school for several days. Worried about her, Wu Ji went to her house a few times but didn't have the courage to go upstairs. This time, luckily meeting Mao Tu, he was led up to Jiayu's room. Without saying much, Wu Ji quietly took a notebook out of his bag. He had carefully recorded all the lessons Jiayu had missed over the past few days. Seeing this, Mao Tu also hurriedly brought out the small cake he had specially bought for her, trying to act gallant. He thanked Wu Ji on Jiayu's behalf. Looking at the neat and clean handwriting in the notebook, Jiayu was very touched. She gave Mao Tu's cake to Wu Ji as a thank you. This action left Mao Tu stunned. He quickly found an excuse that it was getting dark to send Wu Ji home. When walking his friend to the door, he even tried to ask for the cake back, but Wu Ji argued that Jiayu gave it to him. So, if Mao Tu wanted it back, he didn't need her permission. Meanwhile, Xiao Han had mapped out a detailed one-year study plan for Chun Mo, including reference books and practice materials. They agreed that for this year, they would both focus on studying and wait until after the college entrance exam for anything else. For the first time in her life, Chun Mo had a calm and frank talk with her father. She no longer avoided him, but faced him as an equal, telling him everything that happened. She hoped her dad could trust her and let her decide her own life. When Mrs. Fong returned, she was very surprised to see the father and daughter getting along. Mr. Chen also announced he wouldn't transfer jobs anymore. His daughter's studies were the top priority. With no reason to move, Mrs. Fong didn't mention the divorce again. From then on, Mr. Chun's personality changed a lot, and he wasn't as bossy as before. The sadness still hadn't faded, so Jiayu reached out to her online friend event. She had no idea that the person she trusted with all her secrets was actually Mao Tu. She said that when she found out brother, Xiao Han, liked Chun Mo, her whole world collapsed. Hearing those words, even though his own heart was breaking, Mao Tu still patiently comforted her, encouraging her to stay strong and move on. After that, Mao Tu gathered his courage to ask for a meeting. He thought he would be rejected, but Jiayu agreed. She set the date for next week because she had to get a haircut this week. The next day, when Jiayu walked into class with short hair like a boy, the whole class was stunned. Without a word of explanation, she went straight to Wan Qing's seat and asked to switch. From then on, she no longer sat with Chun Mo. In Xiao Han's class, there was another straight-A girl who had feelings for him. After school, seeing Xiao Han go to talk to Jiayu, this girl didn't hesitate to step forward. She advised him to stay away from both Jiayu and Chun Mo so it wouldn't affect his studies. Knowing her intentions, Xiao Han bluntly replied, "Don't waste your time on me." One morning, Mrs. Qian took her mother for a health checkup, but while she went to the restroom, her mother disappeared. Mrs. Qian and Mr. Zhang frantically searched the hospital. Finding nothing, she hurriedly called her husband and asked the neighbors to join the search. The whole day passed without any clues. That was also the day Jiayu was supposed to meet her online friend. Mao Tu, who had been preparing for this day for a long time, arrived early at the meeting spot, both nervous and excited. But when she heard the news about Grandma being lost, Jiayu forgot everything and rushed to search everywhere. Late at night, the news from friends said they still hadn't found her. Mrs. Qian broke down in tears, blaming herself for not taking good care of her mother. At the peak of despair, the police called to say they found the old lady at the Old North Station. Finally, Mrs. Chien was reunited with her mother. But ironically, the old lady no longer recognized her daughter and refused to go home. Mrs. Chien was worried to the point of crying. But luckily, Mrs. Ping remembered that when her friend's mother was young, she was very enthusiastic and helpful. She thought of a way by lying that there was another mother who went to work and didn't come back, and the children were crying for her, asking Grandma to go give them advice. Only in that way could they get her home. When Mr. Zhang and Mrs. Ping came to visit, Mrs. Chien's mother didn't recognize them anymore. She mistook Mr. Zhang for her son, Jiangua, and Mrs. Ping for her daughter-in-law, Hong, and facing the elderly woman's dementia, Mr. Zhang and Mrs. Ping had to keep playing their parts. In the following days, the old lady kept asking when they would get married and insisted the wedding must be held in China. She even handed out wedding candy in red envelopes to the neighbors. Her son getting married in America without a wedding in the hometown was the greatest regret of her life. The old lady's words accidentally planted an idea in Mr. Zhang's mind. He decided to take this chance, under the guise of making his future mother-in-law's dream come true, to throw a wedding party with Mrs. Ping. Mrs. Ping asked Xiao Han for his thoughts. He only asked his mom if she truly wanted this, and if she did, he was cool with it. Seeing that Mr. Zhang was genuinely good to his mom, he knew that with his own abilities, he couldn't take care of her perfectly in every way. He accepted letting his mom find a shoulder to lean on. Hearing her son say he didn't want her to struggle and that he understood her made Mrs. Ping tear up. For all those years, carrying the burden of raising him alone, she had also longed for a strong shoulder to lean on. Mr. Zhang started prepping for the wedding. He thought just having the ceremony with Mrs. Ping was the best thing ever. But then she even agreed to register the marriage. Happiness came so fast that Mr. Zhang was so thrilled, he picked Mrs. Ping up and spun her around. Once the marriage certificate was in hand, Mr. Zhang decided to move Xiao Han and Mrs. Ping to the Jinxiu housing complex. Even though it was just across the street, to Jiayu, that distance felt like a line that couldn't be crossed. From now on, they were no longer neighbors, and those mornings going to school together were officially a thing of the past. Mr. Zhang and Mao Tu put their whole hearts into decorating Xiao Han's new bedroom, from the high-end bed and closet to the computer and all the necessary school supplies. He even firmly stated that from then on, whatever Mao Tu had, Xiao Han would have too. But what Xiao Han had, Mao Tu might not necessarily get all of it. Mr. Zhang's kindness deeply touched Mrs. Ping. She knew she hadn't picked the wrong guy. Only by treating Xiao Han like his own son could the family bond be strong. Mr. Zhang's wedding day fell on Jiayu's birthday. Even though Mrs. Chien suggested her daughter could go out for dinner with friends if she didn't want to attend, Jiayu acted totally fine with it. Meanwhile, while Wan Qing was at a store picking a birthday gift for her friend, she ran into Lu Yao. She overheard him telling the staff that he wanted to buy a gift for the most important person, someone who loves to eat. Wan Qing's heart skipped a beat. She thought she was the one Lu Yao was talking about. But her joy was crushed before it even began. She caught Lu Yao writing a few lines in English on the gift and then taking it out of the classroom. Quietly following him, she painfully realized the gift was for a senior girl who was about to study abroad. However, that girl flat out rejected his feelings. Getting caught by Wan Qing while he was heartbroken, Lu Yao couldn't hide his sadness and told her his story. That senior girl was the one who encouraged him to pursue being a host and also created the chance for him to be an MC with Wan Qing when they were kids. Not able to stand seeing Lu Yao so sad, Wan Qing gathered her courage to go see that senior, hoping to help deliver the gift. But the girl still firmly refused. To keep Lu Yao from being even sadder, Wan Qing lied and said the senior had accepted the gift and even wished him luck in getting into his dream school soon. Lu Yao was very happy and promised to treat her to a meal. On the way home from school, Wan Qing sat alone by the roadside, holding Lu Yao's gift box. She slowly ate every single chocolate, feeling like she was swallowing both the sweetness and the bitterness of a broken first love. Meanwhile, the preparations for Mr. Zhang's wedding hit an unexpected snag. When sending out invitations to old co-workers, he accidentally heard nasty gossip that Mrs. Ping was gold-digging and only after his money. Angry and not wanting the woman he loved to deal with a bad reputation, he went home and talked to Mrs. Ping about not holding the party at the Oriental Pearl Tower anymore. He used the excuse that the financial crisis was affecting his company. Mrs. Ping didn't care at all where the wedding was held. She knew Mr. Zhang's business wasn't going well, so she suggested just making a few simple dishes at home to treat their friends, and that would be enough. Mr. Zhang still carefully asked Xiao Han for his opinion, and when he saw everyone agreed, he made the decision. Now, Xiao Han had moved away. Every time she passed his old house, Jiayu felt an unfillable void in her heart. Somewhere else, Mao Tu sat at his computer, continuing his role as the online soulmate, asking Jiayu when she would finally agree to meet up. Every time, Jiayu tactfully refused, saying she was very busy lately, but she didn't say exactly what she was busy with, only vaguely explaining that she wanted to give some closure to things in the past. Jiayu's birthday finally arrived, on the same day as Mr. Zhang's wedding. As Jiayu was getting ready to head out with her mom and grandma, her close friends Wan Qing, Chen Mo, Jian Feng, and Wu Ji suddenly showed up with gifts. Wan Qing gave a new concept English book set, and Jian Feng brought 10 boiled tea eggs. Chen Mo gave a comic book she drew herself, and Wu Ji brought a sparkling moonstone. Those simple but heartfelt gifts deeply touched Jiayu. After that, the three of them went to Mr. Zhang's wedding. The wedding was held cozily at home, with Wan Qing's parents as the hosts and surrounded by their closest friends. Amidst the blessings and cheers, Mrs. Ping, in a bright red wedding dress, walked out arm in arm with Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang was so choked up with emotion that he got down on one knee and solemnly promised in front of everyone that he would take good care of Mrs. Ping from now on and would follow her lead in everything. Mrs. Ping looked at the man who had quietly stayed by her side for all those years and couldn't hide her emotions either. She thanked him for always supporting, encouraging, and caring for her, promising that from now on, the husband and wife would be of one mind even if she went to the moon. She'd take him with her. In that warm atmosphere, they exchanged wedding rings, and the friends around them couldn't help but tear up. Mrs. Qian's mother, whose mind drifted in and out, originally called Mr. Zhang Jiangua, but suddenly realized something wasn't right. Mr. Zhang served her tea anyway, still calling himself Jiangua. Tears streamed down the old lady's face, her hands trembling with emotion as she mumbled, "Jiangua is married." Jiangua finally got married. She was so happy that she blew loudly on the whistle she used to use back when she was the head of the Women's Union. The wedding ended with applause and sincere blessings. After the party, while Xiao Han was cleaning up, Mao Tu, while playing with a camera, suggested taking a photo of Jiayu and Xiao Han together. When the two stood next to each other, Jiayu smiled. It was the first photo of just her and Xiao Han together. At the moment the shutter clicked, Mao Tu suddenly understood everything. He understood Jiayu's previous words about wanting to end the story of silent, one-sided love. This photo was likely the period she wanted to put the end of it. In the summer of 1999, the whole world was buzzing with the World Cup. Mr. Zhang, with his business sense, managed to get a photo signed by Beckham from somewhere. He placed it prominently in Songming's restaurant and even launched a special Beckham combo. Because of that, the restaurant was always packed with customers. During the final match, when the final whistle blew, the whole restaurant erupted in the joy of victory. Amidst the cheering, Jiayu's grandma also excitedly blew her familiar whistle. But then she suddenly fainted, and the whole family rushed her to the hospital. Pacing back and forth outside the ER, Jiayu cried until her eyes were swollen. After a long, agonizing night, the surgery room door finally opened. Hearing the doctor announce that the surgery was a success, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. On the way taking Jiayu home, both Mao Tu and Xiao Han were silent. When they arrived, Mao Tu suddenly asked Xiao Han if he still remembered what happened on the day his dad died. That was a memory that could never fade from Xiao Han's mind. One day, when he was only 5 or 6, his uncle drove a big bus carrying many relatives. Little Xiao Han naively thought they were going on a trip and hopped around happily the whole way. But when the bus stopped, what was in front of him wasn't an amusement park, but a funeral home. There, many people were quietly wiping away tears. He walked forward and then saw that the person lying in the center was the father he loved most. His tears fell. He would never forget that day for the rest of his life. Every time he remembered it, it felt like snow was falling in his heart. A few days later, Grandma's illness suddenly took a turn for the worse. The doctor issued a critical condition notice. Jiayu, along with her parents and Mr. Zhang, were all by her side in her final moments. Before passing away, she opened her eyes, took Jiayu's hand, and said she was sorry. She apologized for letting her suffer in Jiangxi. She kept repeating that sentence and then slowly closed her eyes forever. The strong, enthusiastic, and kind grandmother who had been like that her whole life suddenly left everyone, leaving behind infinite pain. Grandma's final words seemed to be for Jiayu, but they were actually a late apology to Mrs. Qian. It turned out the biggest resentment in her heart wasn't anything else, but the fact that she let her youngest daughter go to Jiangxi alone to suffer. For all those years, Mrs. Qian always blamed her mother for favoring her brothers. But only at this moment did she understand that in her mother's heart, she was always a beloved little child. Later, when they took Jiayu to the bank to withdraw her grandma's savings, they couldn't open it using Jiayu's birthday. In a random moment, Mrs. Qian tried entering her own birthday. Sure enough, the safe popped open. It turned out the code Grandma always kept secret was actually the day her daughter was born. After she passed away, The whole family fell into a long silence. Every time she saw the empty chair where Grandma used to sit, Jiayu missed the days with her terribly. The house was completely missing the sound of happy chatter. Flipping through an old photo, Jiayu saw the words her grandma wrote on the back. While she was alive, everyone was busy with their own lives, only to now wish they could turn back time. But time is the medicine that heals all wounds. During the physical fitness test, seeing Jiayu and Wan Qing panting at the back, Chinamo didn't hesitate to turn back and run alongside them to cheer her two best friends on. That very encouragement helped both of them push to the finish line. The cracks in their friendship were also slowly being mended. Jiayu took the comic book Chinamo had given her and personally wrote words next to the drawings, turning it into a shared keepsake. It recorded a friendship story full of ups and downs, but also very precious. Jiayu's hair also slowly grew back out into her familiar ponytail. The second mock exam ended, and the whirlwind of studying swept everyone away again. Everyone was trying their best for the grueling college entrance exams in June ahead. Through the study machine, Chun Mo happily told Xiaohan that her mock exam score had gone up by 12 points. Upon receiving the message, a rare smile appeared on Xiaohan's face. Lately, Wan Qing had been acting very strange. She talked as if she were reciting lines from Shakespeare play. Seeing their daughter babbling like that, her parents thought she had gone crazy from the massive exam pressure, so they didn't dare to push her any further. During a dinner gathering, Wan Qing continued to use Shakespearean language to express how grateful she was to be with her friends. The group got all buzzed again when they heard that Wu Ji had been accepted to Tsinghua University ahead of time. Everyone noisily insisted that he had to treat them. Without hesitating, Wu Ji pulled all the money out of his pocket, saying it happened so suddenly that this was all he had. The sight of him casually handing the money to Jiayu made everyone burst out laughing. They teased him, saying it looked exactly like a husband handing over his paycheck to his wife. Seeing Jiayu felt awkward, a classmate added that she should just look at it like collecting the class fund. Besides Wu Ji, Xiaohan was also on the list of candidates for the City Level 3 Good Student Award. His dream was to get into Shanghai Jiaotong University, and if he got this title, he would get 30 bonus points, making his path to that dream much more certain. His mother also believed her son would definitely get what he wanted. On the anniversary of Mr. Xiao's death, she went with Xiaohan, Mr. Zhang, and Mao Tu to visit his grave. Standing before his father's grave, Xiaohan remembered his old promise to get into Shanghai Jiaotong University. That memory was still perfectly clear in his mind. However, an unexpected crisis hit. Zhao Ding, a girl who used to have a crush on Xiaohan, got jealous of seeing him and Shun Mo frequently texting through their study machines. So she secretly stole one and turned it into the teacher. Things escalated when the dean decided to hold a meeting, inviting both Xiaohan and Shinamo to evaluate their academic conduct. Actually, the messages were just normal questions about grades and moods. There was nothing inappropriate at all. But a few biased teachers started criticizing Chinamo, almost calling her an indecent person. Seeing Chun Mo having to endure those harsh words alone, Xiaohan couldn't stand still. He stepped up and took all the responsibility, admitting that he felt differently about Chun Mo compared to other girls. As a result, Xiaohan was stripped of his City Level 3 Good student title. With Chun Mo's current grades, getting into even a Tier 2 university would be hard. Now, to protect her, Xiaohan had given up a huge advantage. Chinamo knew exactly what that meant. She was about to tell him she wanted to apply to a university in Beijing, but she ended up swallowing her words. When Xiaohan got home, his mom and Mr. Zhang were already waiting in the living room. Looking at his mom's face, he knew she already knew everything. Mrs. Ping didn't scold him at all. She just calmly asked if he had thought through the consequences and what he planned to do next. Xiaohan admitted to his mom that he acted out of temporary anger at the time, but he had also anticipated the consequences. He confirmed that even without the bonus points, he would still try his best to get into Jiaotong University. Hearing that, Mrs. Ping said nothing more and just quietly went to cook dinner as usual. Mr. Zhang stepped closer and reminded him in a low voice that from now on, Xiaohan had to think carefully about everything and not act on impulse. But Mrs. Ping believed that Xiaohan was grown up and should choose his own life. Meanwhile, Chun Mo went home with a heavy heart. Her mom noticed her daughter's awkwardness. She invited her downstairs for some fries and listened to her vent. She advised her daughter to be clear with Xiaohan about her plans to go to school in Beijing, saying it would be better for both of them. The next day, Chun Mo proactively asked to meet Xiaohan. She told him she wanted to go to Beijing for university. Even though he was a bit surprised, Xiaohan still smiled and encouraged her to study hard and try to achieve her dream. The news that Chun Mo decided to study in Beijing quickly reached the ears of Jiayu's group. Mao Tu, Wan Qing, and Wu Ji discussed it together. Mao Tu lamented that with such a long distance, Xiaohan and Chun Mo probably wouldn't end up together in the future. But Wu Ji, while eating, offered a different perspective. He said that even if people go to the same school, they still face countless changes. ISNT, liking someone about wanting them to live well. As long as the other person is happy, whether they end up together or not ISNT important anymore. It was the first time this normally quiet guy had said something so philosophical, making Wan Qing see him in a different light. It turned out Wu Ji didn't just have a high IQ, but his EQ wasn't low either. In the evening, seeing Xiao Han eating listlessly and then rushing to his room to study, Mrs. Ping knew something was up. Mao Tu secretly told her what happened today. Understanding the whole story, she went into the room to talk to her son. She said that choosing Jiaotong University was just a promise he made as a kid, a promise probably made on impulse. Furthermore, his dad probably didn't expect his son to be this excellent later on. If he were alive, he would definitely support his son going to the school he truly wanted. She advised him not to stubbornly hold on to past promises because the fate of his life was in his own hands. His mother's words untied the knot in Xiao Han's heart. After thinking it over carefully, he put Tsinghua University on his application form. Meanwhile, Chen Mo also successfully convinced her dad. He agreed to let her apply to a school in Beijing and even gave her a few options for reference. When Xiao Han told Chen Mo about his decision, she was so happy she cried. It turned out she had prepared letters to send to him, but now they probably weren't necessary anymore. In another development, Wan Qing was facing a challenge during her interview. She had carefully prepared a Western comedy, but the judge suddenly asked her to analyze the pros and cons of that genre. Even though the question was unexpected, Wan Qing stayed calm. She remembered her parents' comments about the exaggeration in those plays, and even though it was a bit awkward, she successfully passed the interview. The college entrance exam was getting close. The homeroom teacher didn't forget to remind the students about things to watch out for during the final stretch, advising them to visit the exam site early to get used to the environment and reduce stress. Everyone was trying to keep their spirits as relaxed as possible. Mrs. Qian, however, took her own path by inviting a feng shui master to the house to check Jia Yu's room. After looking around for a while, the feng shui master pointed at the computer and declared it had to be removed. Jia Yu firmly objected because it was her study tool. But to give her mom peace of mind, she put a glass of water on top of the computer to neutralize the bad energy. After the exam, Jia Yu made a date to meet the online friend she had been chatting with for 3 years. On the other end, Mao Tu, who had been waiting for this moment day and night, had mapped out a detailed plan. He imagined all sorts of scenarios what Jia Yu would say, and what her expression would be when she found out his real identity. Those thoughts kept him tossing and turning at night. During a meal, when Jia Yu talked about her plan to meet, Wan Qing and Chen Mo couldn't help but be worried. They thought meeting an online friend could be dangerous, but Jia Yu said they had been chatting for 3 years, and the person hadn't scammed her out of money or done anything suspicious. After a careful analysis, they guessed this online friend was very likely a close friend right next to Jia Yu. Just the thought of it gave Jia Yu goosebumps because she had revealed almost all her secrets. Mao Tu started to feel that lying to Jia Yu was wrong. If the meeting only brought shame, it would be better not to meet at all. Wan Qing and Chen Mo guessed the person might be Wu Ji. They went to find a math prodigy to confirm, but Wu Ji had no idea. However, with his skills, he quickly tracked the IP address and confirmed this online friend was in Shanghai. When Wu Ji asked for a specific address and workplace, Mao Tu, who was playing the online role, couldn't make up stories anymore and had to agree to meet. Knowing the online friend wasn't a bad person, Wu Ji just smiled. On the other hand, Mao Tu looked worried. He asked Wu Ji if he should go. Wu Ji didn't give advice, only saying that this online friend was very important to Jia Yu. Returning to the old house, Mao Tu happened to run into Jia Yu, who was looking for things. While searching the drawer, she found a photo taken with Mao Tu and Xiao Han. She remarked that the two of them had brought light into her life, just like family members. Mao Tu was silent. He suddenly realized that in Jia Yu's heart, he was family. So, meeting as the online friend probably wasn't important anymore. In fact, it might just bring unnecessary awkwardness. He went to Wu Ji again and said he wouldn't log into that account anymore. He asked Wu Ji to comfort and encourage Jia Yu on his behalf whenever she was sad. Jia Yu was a very good girl and deserved all the best things. Finally, the day of the college entrance exam arrived. Mr. Qian drove the neighborhood kids to the exam site. The mothers stood outside full of worry, constantly telling their children to stay calm and do well on the test. In the hallway, Jia Yu happened to run into Xiao Han. As a habit since childhood, he told her to stay calm. Don't panic, he smiled and turned to walk away. Memories rushed back. Jia Yu remembered how many times she had followed behind, calling brother Xiao Han. This time, she also called his name, but to wish him luck on the exam. Stepping into the exam room, Jia Yu's heart nearly stopped. The exam ID card she had carefully put in her pen case last night had vanished. It hit her that her mom must have taken it. She hurriedly called her mom. Mrs. Qian panicked and quickly searched under the pillow, pulling out the exam ID card tucked together with a yellow charm, then hopped in a police car to rush to the exam site. Luckily, everything was in time. Time flies like an arrow, and in the blink of an eye, it was already the summer of 2012. Wan Qing's mother's dumpling shop had been sold. Mrs. Qian and her husband came to help clean up the last few items. This small shop had witnessed too many beautiful memories. Now they truly had to say goodbye. Among the children from back then, only Chinamo and Xiao Han had settled down and gotten married. Mrs. Fang's granddaughter, little Xiao Mei, was now 2 years old. On top of that, Mr. Chun, the father who used to be very hot-tempered when teaching Chinamo, was now unusually patient while teaching his granddaughter how to write and do math. Sitting together, the mothers couldn't help but gossip. Mrs. Qian was worried about her daughter Jiayu, who had gone abroad but still didn't have a boyfriend, and even asked Mao Tu to keep an eye out to help find a good guy. For this class reunion, Jiayu actually returned from abroad. 10 years have passed, and even the math genius Wu Ji came to attend. Together, they went back to their old school, a place where so many memories are kept. Looking at each familiar row of trees and corner of the yard, their hearts couldn't help but be deeply moved. While Wu Ji and Jiayu sat and talked in the hallway, everyone was curious about the math genius's current life. Some said he is still single and his company is sending him abroad to study. People were talking about housing again. House prices in Shanghai are already very high, but over 10 years ago, Wu Ji won a 2-bedroom apartment when he championed a competition. Everyone still remembers it perfectly. He had asked the organizers if there were any other rewards, which surprised everyone back then. The whole class went together to visit their former homeroom teacher, hearing news that every one of her students now has a place in society. Some became scientists, and some work in the entertainment industry, shining in different fields. The teacher couldn't hide her joy and pride. She told them that no matter how busy or hard their current lives are, they should never forget the person they were in their youth, the version of themselves that once bravely faced challenges and also felt lost at life as crossroads. Her words were like warm water, bringing back the deep feelings in everyone's hearts. After the meeting, Jiayu asked to leave first. She said she had a date with an online friend. After 10 years, she finally decided to meet the mysterious soulmate who had always been by her side. Arriving at the meeting spot, her heart was both nervous and anxious. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded from behind. She turned her head, and the person standing there was none other than Mao Tu. It turns out the one who had silently been her friend and encouraged her all those years was actually this close friend. Jiayu led Mao Tu to the gathering with everyone. Now, Wan Qing has become Lu Yao's manager, starting a business and striving on her career path with him. Knowing Wan Qing's heart, Lu Yao specially invited the singer Xinjia, their idol from the old days. Meeting the star in the flesh, someone who was tied to so many memories of their youth, Wan Qing was so happy she cried. The atmosphere suddenly became lively. They sang the old songs together, those melodies that marked a youth full of ups and downs. Everyone couldn't hold back their emotions, feeling like they were reliving the most beautiful days of their lives.